Say goodbye to your credit card rewards. Greedy corporate mega stores, led by Walmart and Target, are pushing for a law in Congress to take away your hard-earned cash back and travel points to line their pockets. The Durbin-Marshall credit card bill would enact harmful credit card routing mandates that would end credit card rewards as we know it. If you love your credit card rewards, tell your lawmakers, hands off my rewards. Tell them to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill.
Philip has just lost the respect of the youth league football team he coaches. He was asked what New England should do in the draft, and his answer was objectively terrible. The Athletic just wrote a great article about this, but Philip doesn't have the Athletic or the respect of a boisterous group of 11-year-olds who once looked up to him. Learn from Philip's error, get the Athletic, and get the info you need to speak draft fluently.
Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Welcome in, Panther fans, back to another C3 Panthers podcast. It's Tuesday night. It's 9 p.m. We're chopping up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. It's draft week, folks. Thursday night. The draft is here. The C3 Panthers podcast will have their 11th annual draft party. But, man, no first-round pick. No problem for the Panthers. We're getting to meet the coach. We're getting to meet the players. We're starting to see some of the vision. We are starting to buy into some of the hope. And tonight, guys, tonight is going to be a celebration of life, a new life, hopefully, for the Carolina Panthers, and a celebration of life for my homie, Joe Riolano, co-founder of the C3 Panthers podcast, what was originally called Cat Chronicles, that then became Carolina Cat Chronicles, that then became the C3 Panthers podcast. Joe Riolano passed away this past week, about 1 week ago, Wednesday of last week. And I've got some things to say about our friendship and him as a man, how important he was to me, and how cool it was to halftime hang out with him. But before we do all that, it's great to hang out with my boys. Just like Joe Riolano, we kept friendships deep. We kept friendships alive. We kept together through a common bond of talking about the Carolina Panthers together. It gave us something to bond over, to something to keep coming back to when life gets busy. And life has been busy for all of us, but it's not too busy to hang out with my boy Cody Lack, my wheel man. Good to see you, my friend.
Tony Dunn, last Friday, we remembered Joe Riolano. We're going to remember him again tonight, man. We're going to remember him every time that we ever do a C3 Panthers podcast going forth from now into the future. But we're also going to do what Joe loved to do. And we're going to talk Panther football as we are only 2 days away from the start of the 2024 NFL draft. Tony, we've had the first practice. Panthers are back in the building. We've got a bunch of interviews to dissect from Dave Canales, Dan Morgan. Deontay Johnson has basically been told he's the ex-wide receiver. And there's another draft prospect who's basically been told, hey, if you're at 33, the Carolina Panthers are going to be picking you. So as always, Tony, on a Tuesday night, we have a great show. And you know we're going to do it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know him and love him. It's our boy Panther Pickle, Alex Stark, the brand ambassador, Diesel Skills, the real Sunchild. What's up? Deshaun J, Jorge Marcelo, Matt Knows Nothing, Off the Porch Podcast. What's up, D? Pan Axe, Promise Panda, Sean Hume, the Bat Daddy in the building, the Tidy Bear, Tim Estes, and that boy White Chocolate Espresso. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it But to do it, brother, let's roll.
Is that how you read that? The tiny bear? That's not how I read it. And homage to Joe Riolano right here. He loved a great rack. My man loved a great rack.
Sure.
He was a tits man. CK, another one of my great friends here. And really, CK, I haven't known you but maybe 6 years. Right?
Right.
But again, through this podcast, we've become really great friends, at least from my position we have. And I think that's something cool. To me, I think that's one of the cooler things about football that the internet has helped us become is like now it's not even about the team. It's about us together.
Yeah.
Talking about the team.
Yeah.
So welcome.
It's about community and all of the above. I mean, again, my existence on the podcast came shortly after the hiatus from Joe.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any overlap with me and Joe, but he was on the podcast when I first came to know more about C3 and I really started to get into listening to the audio format of podcasts when it comes to talking about the Carolina Panthers and what have you, and to have him gone obviously is a dagger to the heart to nobody more than you right now, I think, and at least within this group of people. But man, it is a testament to see just what friendships have grown, not just with the guys here on the panel, but many of the people in the chat who have been here for years, who have dedicated their Tuesday nights, their Sunday post games, their Twitter space time, in the
their
evenings,
conversations, people messaging me all the time. Check this out. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, it's that is something that I think to have Joey be a part of this, building this community up and it go to where it's at now, I think will always be a part of his legacy. And as we continue to grow this and we continue to, make this community a bigger community and one that tries to live up to the values that, a family should live up to, and not be a group of people who aren't just in it for money or, all these things that a lot of people get into it for. I think right now we want to be here with our family. You know what I mean? That's what we, come here Tuesday nights and every Tuesday night in the off season and all that stuff. So yeah, absolutely, man. I'm glad to be here with you boys, and I'm glad to hear what you have to say here, Tony, about your time with Joey and what he's meant to you in your life, man.
Yeah, I hope appreciate everybody listening. First, again, like Joe would say, Joe would be the first to say this is thank you for your time and your energy. That someone's time is precious, right? And I guess when you see someone pass away, that time is a precious thing. It's something that you can't get back. So I'm glad that for anybody that spends any time listening to this podcast or interacting with it or being a part of the Legion, whatever, even if it's indirect, like even if it's 2 seconds and then you scroll on, I do appreciate your time, right? To listen to these knuckleheads talk about football and just being a fan. So I do want to talk a little bit about Joe real quick before we get into the show. This is a platform that him and I built or started. And I mean, a lot of people have contributed to it since. So this is a great place to, I guess, or to give Joe a little, to show him some appreciation. I would first want to show this to say a couple of things about this before I get like a couple of caveats. Is one, is I usually what I believe about like my own emotional response to big tragedies, I have like a delayed emotional response generally. Like my wife is really good about this is like she hears, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but if something happens, like the emotion hits her immediately. And a lot of times, I don't know, maybe it's like me putting up walls of protection or whatever. But this was difficult for me. Even more so than I almost anticipated, because I mean, I knew always this was going to happen given what I'll tell you about what Joe went through and some different things. So I gotta. You guys saw me on Friday night. I'm gonna try to keep it. I'm gonna try to keep it together here. Just to give you a little background of what happened with Joey and what he went through. Joe grew up on Camp Lejeune in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And if you listen to the radio at any time in North Carolina, you will hear an ad for a class action lawsuit about the tainted water. And they give a list of if you've had this, if you've had this, if you've had this, you could be eligible. Joe
Apparently the camp knew about.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a big deal.
Terrible. It's terrible.
And on top of it, they even worse about is to add to that is they tried to put a cap on it, like if you live there at 84, we're not going to do it for you.
Yeah,
which is like, come on. But Joe lived there for a long time. His brother lived there less time. His little brother, and who hasn't had these problems, but. So Joe and I was probably 21 at this time, and I'd known him for 5 years already. He went to the hospital and when he got to the hospital, he's like feeling like shit. He got there and his blood pressure was like 280 over 180 or 260 over what. And it was just like, they were like, why haven't you had a stroke yet? You know what I'm saying? So Joe lost like a ton of his kidney function back in 2001. He was on dialysis. I ended up being his roommate at the time he was on dialysis. He was able to get a kidney transplant later from his brother about 4 or 5 years later. And he got better for a while, right? You're like, holy shit, life is back. And I'll tell you about, he got married. He married his dialysis nurse. I'll tell you more about some of that stuff, which is kind of wild. I went to we had a bachelor party for him. One of the best freaking weekends in the history of my life. Got some fun stories for that. But then that lasted for about 5 years, that kidney. And then he got cancer. He got esophageal cancer. And we had always been casual smokers, you know what I'm saying? Probably smoking the wacky tobacco more than the regular tobacco. He was not a guy that just should be like, you didn't, you know what I mean? It's kind of random. You got esophageal, like this throat cancer. And then that cancer with all the radiation and all the drugs they had to give him for that, then he lost his kidneys again. And after that, it has been, this guy has carried a cross as hard as almost anybody. And the last 2 years, he hasn't had a meal. He's been living on a feeding tube, so it was a tough road for Joe. I went and picked him up. I was very fortunate. I spent about 10 hours with him about 10 days ago, right before I brought him back. Him and his brother went and we got him and we brought him back to Jacksonville to his family. It was a tough trip, but like his brother said, God put a lot, all this is for a reason. So he got the two people that he loved the most. Not, his two brothers. I'm the little brother that's not blood related. And he got to spend the day with them, And the last thing that Joe said to me before I left is, "You're my brother." And that meant a lot, because you say that when you're not the sick person and you say that, it's like, "Oh, you're my brother." It's easy to say that to someone when you're the one that's healthily walking away.
Right.
So that meant a lot to me. But just want to tell you a little bit about Joe, how I met him. I met Joe when I was 16 years old, and I got a job delivering pizza at this place called Michelangelo's Pizza. And at the time, I think he was a couple years out of college. He played a little bit of D2 football. He was a wide receiver. Nothing big. You know what I'm saying?
Joe had them hands.
Yeah. And so we were, I think part of it is because he's Puerto Rican. And I had grown up hanging out with a bunch of Cuban kids. I'm a part Italian, or, my whole family is Italian anyway. In the South, I don't know. Maybe us ethnic people just gravitate together for somehow. But Joe was really always real cool to me, man. He kind of took me under the wing, like the older brother vibe or whatever. So and this is how apropos. all this story goes. And guys, I'm sorry that if you came here for the Panthers podcast, for the Panthers talk, we're gonna get to it. One of my earliest memories with Joe is him. He took me to an ECU baseball game, and they're playing tonight. Right now, they're playing NC State. I was 16 years old. I was hanging out with the cooler, older college kids that you want to look cool in front of. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to let them down for bringing you out and be like, oh, we brought this fucking kid with us. So we had been drinking a little bit, whatever, and pre-gaming before we go up to the jungle, which you used to be able to just walk up there with no tickets and stand on the fence. And kind of beers had run out. We were about to walk in. And I said, "You guys got one last beer?" And they said, yeah, here. And they handed me one. And they handed me this beer right here. I'll open it right now. 16 years old. The last beer in the cooler was a Guinness. Little Tony weighed 140 pounds at the time. And I took one sip of this beer and I was like, oh shit, I don't want this beer. Like, this is terrible. You know what I mean?
What, you didn't like the flavor?
Yeah, because I'm a 16-year-old and it's a Guinness. So we're walking up.
This is good.
Yeah, but when you're 16, it's, you know what I'm saying? You got to grow to love it. So we're walking up to the stadium, and I would let them get a couple of steps ahead of me, and I would slowly pour this beer out. Slowly pour this beer out as we were walking up. So tonight, also Joey passed out in the toilet of an RV before an NC State game. You see, so tonight was kind of apropos. ECU is hosting the North Carolina State Wolfpack for baseball. I went and had a Guinness for Joe tonight there. Poured a sip, I don't like to pour one out for, I don't dislike it, but but it seemed, I didn't want to be cliche, but it actually meant something. So just a little bit more about Joey. Joey was full of life, dude, before he got sick. Like you hate, sometimes you only see, he was sick for almost 20 freaking years, dude. He was full of life, and like any good Puerto Rican, he was hot-blooded. And I'm going to tell you guys, Puerto Ricans, don't let them near your ladies, folks. No lady was safe around Joe Riolano. So we were working at the pizza shop. We would talk sports, joking around. We'd make fun of him about how thick he would lay it on the ladies, too. Just so thick of hitting on them and this and that. And this dude was an equal opportunity lover. No, he loved every woman, every shape and size and whatever it could be. No lady was safe. So this would be funny, is there'd be girls like just sitting there eating a slice of pizza, like they come in for lunch or something. And Joe would never go and do it, but he'd be like, I got to go out in the lobby and check the lobby. And then all of a sudden he'd be chirping in these ladies' ears. We make fun of him. He was pretty good shape then. And he would always wear these tight. We'd be like, why are you wearing your little brother's shirt? You're trying
to show off, man.
Yeah. So he was real cool to me. He treated me like a little brother. His girlfriend at the time became his fiance, managed this bar. And I had a fake ID when I was like 16, 17. It was so stupid. So we'd go out there and hang out, and he always took care of me. This guy even chaperoned my junior, senior. And we had a bunch of people partying, and this mug caught a charge for us. Police raided the house. We all ran. Some of us got away. I got away. Joe had to take the ticket for being the adult with a bunch of kids. Another great story about Joe is this, and I told you, is like professor has not always played it by the cuff. So one day in high school, we're riding around, me and my buddy, and we're just smoking weed. I pull up this stop sign. We're in this place called Cherry Oaks. We used to call it Cherry Smokes, and this is where we go after school and ride around. And I pull up to the stop sign, and I'm like, and as soon as I'm pulling up the stop sign, this car turns by me, and I'm like, oh shit, that looks weird. And he whips around. And it was a cop, an undercover cop that lived in the neighborhood. And he was like giving us all this. We were like, oh no, we're just smoking cigarettes. We're just smoking, the typical lies that you always tell for all this stuff. So he says this. He said, all right, you can either be honest with me or I'm going to call the canine dogs out. And we were like, all right, here, we'll tell you. And so the guy said this, and my buddy was going to this Allman Brothers concert that night, I think, or the next day. He's like, shit, man, if you call my parents, I'm going to miss this Allman Brothers concert. Man. And the cop was real cool because we were being super respectful. We weren't like giving him problems, but we were. And he said, and once we coughed it up, it was cool. But he said this. He said, I'm going to call your parents. Here's the deal. He said, I'll cut you a deal. I'll call your parents. And they didn't. And if they don't answer, I need you to have them call me back. But I won't call them again till Monday. So my boy Kelly went home, fucking deleted the message, went to the concert. Then the cop called on Monday. Tony runs home, deletes the message on the answer machine, then goes to Joey's house and says, Joe, you got to act like my dad. And Joe called the police and acted as my dad for me.
Yeah.
And he said this. He said, my man, he said, Joe got off the phone. He was trying to be stern, like I got to be mad. I'm a dad. And he came out. He said, the cop said, take it easy on you. Real respectful. So anyway, he moved. I ended up moving in with him after him and his fiance split. She left him when he was sick, the first one. And we spent we lived together for like 2 or 3 years. We lived on rice and beans, chilled out. Just had a great time playing Madden, having fun. He actually ended up marrying his dialysis nurse. So look at that, folks. Puerto Ricans, hot-blooded, bro. Every Puerto Rican dude I know, it just slays the ladies. So watch out. So it was a great time, man. He got better when he got that. He went to Charleston, and we just couldn't keep up. It's a long trip. Usually, man, people grow. Distance makes things hard. But we would call each other during the football games, or I would call him. You know what I'm saying? It's like that was our way. On Sunday, we would hit each other up about the football game. And over time, I was arguing about politics a lot at the time. I said, man, like, why, let's argue about football. And we wanted to start this website. We were going to be kind of like a Cat Crave or something like that. But then we started live broadcasting these things called Halftime Hangouts, eventually turned into C3 Panthers podcast. But just because I know I'm going on a long time, a couple more things I want to say about him. I don't like when people say God will only give you what you can handle, right? Like, so then, like, he gives some people harder burdens than others because they can handle it. That's kind of it just doesn't sit right. Yeah, I just don't feel like it just doesn't sit right with me. It's like Joe, the reason Joe was sick like this is because he was the one that can handle it. But this guy was tough, dude. I don't think I could have done what he did. I don't think I could have lived through a lot of this. When his fiance left him the first time, like, I would have been crushed. And not that, like, Joe was resilient. Joe was strong. He was a fighter. He fought through so much. And I know there's some fighters on this podcast too. So, you know what I'm saying? But like, this guy, man, he was just a really important person to me.
Yeah.
He was in my wedding, so I'm glad I kept it together through all this. My last story about Joey, fun one, was his bachelor party.
Oh,
We go to Charleston.
I'm excited for this one.
Oh, it's great. It was a whole weekend. It wasn't that wild. It wasn't like we had private, hookers or some stuff like this. But we went out on the boat one day, and he was working at Harris Teeter at the time. And we went to Harris Teeter with the coolers. We parked the cars there. We filled up the coolers from beer, everybody, and then we walked to this strip club. It was called the Southern Belle. And it was first, they have all nude strip clubs in South Carolina. They don't have them here in North Carolina. I was probably like 25. I was still pretty young. And Joe was healthy again, right? And we got Joe fucked up. We got Joe shit faced, right? Like before we even walked in that mug, we carrying cooler, rolling in there with like 3 coolers full of like 70 beer, you know, man, a pack of us. It was fun. And we walk into this, we're getting the lay of the land of this club. And there is this one standout dancer who was like a 12, bro. I mean, she was out of this world. And everybody's talking like, who's she? You know, what's you know, and word came around that she was Russian. And Joe heard this, and this mug, he walks right up to this girl and he goes, Das Vidanya. And we're like, Joe, that means goodbye, brother. He said goodbye to her. He got tanked. We had a blast. She probably made $1 bazillion that night off of everybody. But she was the last person to go. Like they always save the best for the last dance, I guess.
Yeah.
I hope my mom isn't in here. And he was so crunk and having such a great time. And we were just like,
2 sheets in the wind.
yeah, we just throw at this point. We're just like, she was hot. And Joe goes, that's right. This is what Joey's last statement on the way out there. He's like, that's right, you commie bitch. It's the most fucking epic night ever. But look, is Joe so
even though he was Puerto Rican, he was still a real American.
Oh God, yeah. So look, I know those are the lewd stories. Those are the stories that were just young for me. He's done a lot for me throughout my life and far more mature ways than that. Father, son, kind of a husband, even though I got some issues to say, and I'm not going to talk about that. But Joe Riolano, I can't believe I didn't cry. I usually don't get broke up, but I've been shook up. I love you, Joe. I'll miss you, but we're remembering you. That's what I got, guys. I know it took a long time.
Hey, it's okay, man. Again, we said it on Friday, but there wouldn't be a C3 Panthers podcast without Joe Riolano. Y'all started it to keep in contact with one another, and this incredible community that we have now has blossomed because of your friendship. So take as much time as you need, man.
Or did you hear who hopped on the Friday free-for-all?
Yeah, did you hear? Do you know who came on the free-for-all?
No.
Yeah, Mel Mayock.
Really?
Yeah, so shout out to Panther Pickle.
Oh, wow, man. That's good. I have to go watch that.
Panther Pickle shot a real quick message.
I heard T-Money.
Yeah, to our boy Mel, or Aaron Mayock, for those of you old school listeners. And he came on the show. We talked a little bit about Joey, and it was a good time, man. It was a good time.
Good, yeah. It meant a lot. I thank everybody for, again, my best friends are here right now.
Sure.
I mean, Joe's gone. I have 2 or 3 friends, obviously, that I'm tight forever with, but telling you guys all mean a lot to me, especially the guys on this panel, as well as the people in the chat. But like Joe would want to do, let's talk some Carolina Panthers football. The Carolina Panthers are heading to the NFL draft, and Joe was a part of a lot of those draft parties, especially the first 5 or 6. We'll be having our draft party, the 11th annual draft party, on Thursday night, but the big show is going to be on Friday night because the Carolina Panthers do not have a first pick.
Maybe.
Maybe. Oh God, don't threaten me with a bad time.
Maybe. It's worthy of tuning in to the C3 Panthers podcast on Thursday, even on the off chance.
Well, we have to watch for that very reason.
Yeah. What would we do if you weren't watching the C3 Panthers podcast and we traded up? You'd have to go back and watch the VOD, which is fine, but be there live. You could be interacting. You can react to everything that happens live in that moment. If nothing else, we can laugh at other teams and the decisions they have, because there's at least going to be 3 or 4 boneheaded moves in the first round. It happens every year. So we're going to see what happens, man. But it's worthy of tuning in, even if it feels like there's no point.
Well, also a good thing, too, because the first round is really going to be important to setting up how, when we open up on Friday, to know, particularly those last 6-7 picks, how some of the trends go with quarterbacks, wide receivers. So the Panthers will be here on Thursday and Friday for sure. Who knows? Never know. We always are streaming. We're doing a lot. I saw somebody, I was talking about this on the last show, and somebody left a comment. He said, "You'll probably be on all 3 nights." It's like,
but we might.
There's somebody.
There's no might about it. We're going to. We're going to get the most out of this draft.
We got enough fans that will cover us for when we need a break and stuff like that. All right, no first round pick, no problem. We're going to tune into. We're going to get some Dave Canales news, some Deontay Johnson, talk about the Panthers' needs. First up, though, we've got to get one of the things that would be cool is like back when we started this, the whole vision of actually having a sponsor was insanely crazy, right? And we have able now to build enough of a community that they give us sponsors, some sponsors that pay us hardly anything. Anyway, we're very happy to be sponsored by Bet365. North Carolinians, did you know that sports gambling is legal now? And if you are 21 and older and a resident of North Carolina, you can go to Bet365 and have a blast. But before you do that, you need to use this QR code or the link that's in the description below. The link is bit.ly/C365. Make sure to use that link. You put $10 up, you bet $5. So you deposit $10. Your first $5 bet, though, will return you $150 in bonus bets. Then you can take those bonus bets, and this is where this is how you work these sites and these deals right here. Those bonus bets are the kind of play money, real money. They don't want to use the word F, the whatever, the bonus money. But that's when you make the real long bets, the parlays, this and that, and you have fun with that $150 because you got like 10 days to use it. And man, we got the hockey playoffs, we got the NBA, we got NHL, we got NBA playoffs. We got the Canelo fight coming up on May 4th. I hope you guys, I watched that Ryan Garcia fight, a lot of fun stuff. Sports gambling is legal in North Carolina, and Bet365 is your way to do it. Make sure you use the link bit.ly/C365 or that QR code. Helps the podcast, helps you. And hopefully as the season gets here, when the views and the discussion are crazy, these sponsors are going to be coming back and they'll be like, oh, C3 got it going on. So go to Bet365, guys. The Carolina Hurricanes with a historic game last night, down 3-0, came back and won 5-3. Scored 3 goals in like 50 seconds, 2 goals in 9 seconds. Canes are going after it, baby. It's exciting. So, hey, right now you can bet on maybe the Panthers. Maybe the Panthers to win the division if you're feeling saucy. Who knows what those odds are? But the odds are we're about to talk about some Carolina Panthers football. Cody Lack, take us into the show.
Yes, sir. Well, Tony, as I alluded to in our opening, Panthers are back in the building. They've done their first practices. They've come together, and we've gotten some new interviews. A couple of days ago, we got one of Dave Canales and Dan Morgan talking about their strategies for the upcoming draft and how they plan to build. And that had some interesting snippets that we talked about on Friday. Dan Morgan talking about not necessarily wanting to build around Bryce, but finding the perfect Panther fit. That opened up a lot of speculation as to what we might be doing and how we might be building this team in the near future. But today, Dave Canales did another press conference, and he gave some insights into what exactly upgrading this offense means for the 2024 season and what that entails.
Bryce, how important were those things to you guys?
Yeah, complete team, right? So let's build the offense the way that I see it. And then before I go into like the specifics of it, my message has been, I want to try to challenge our roster every year. I want to challenge every single spot. And so as the draft happens and as we see there's so much talent, at different positions as we see it, I don't think you can ever really afford to just say like, okay, I think we're set here. We're good there. So we don't need to go there with it. I think you just add great players to your team And that's not just like a take the best available philosophy. It's just when you have great players and a lot of people are on the same page, let's challenge our team. It makes everybody better. So I'll say that first, but then that inside out mentality, it starts up front. I've always believed that about football. It starts on the offensive line and the defensive line, and so getting those critical pieces like those were the first moves we made was up front on offense.
So it sounds a lot like, or at least similar to David Gettleman talking about the big boys up front, allowing you to win and allowing
Every
you to be
coach
successful.
says that because it's true, right? I mean, the
100%.
offensive and the defensive, if you're getting smoked on either one of them, you might be able to win some games, but you can't win consistently in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? You can't get to the playoffs and have a good offense, but but your defense can't get after the other quarterback. They have a good offense. It is those big boys to allow the skill players to play free. So my question to you about this with Dave Canales, I call him Happy Smiley Dave Canales. He is one of those guys, it's like he's just always upbeat, always optimistic, always, you know what I'm saying? And Bryce is, I think, a lot like this too. And I would have been very suspicious of this had I not met a few people in my life. I got I know one, I can tell you that I know closely where it's not fake. It's like they how was your week? They mean every moment of every. So you think that at some point they're going to turn regular and be whatever. But when you see someone who is not faking it and learn that in real life, it kind of took away some of my skepticism about a person like Dave Canales.
Right.
But my question to you guys about Dave Canales and this energy, this positive energy, maybe going away from the kind of coach that a Bill Belichick or, these old grizzled coaches. I'm a teacher, and there's different ways to look. As teachers, we're limited by our own personalities, our own things like this. And so I do things well, and there's things that I'm not great at. Do you think maybe that this type of tone, attitude, specificity too of getting better might resonate well with the 22-year-old of today? And I think it might. As instead of Bill Belichick being like, fuck you and fuck everybody has ever.
Well, I think the benefit of going from two middle-aged old guys in Frank Reich and Matt Rule is that now you have this youthful exuberance around Dave Canales that seems to be infectious. The young guys like him, and I do think that it is easier for a guy like Dave to kind of ingratiate himself to young 21 to 24-year-olds that are just joining the NFL for the first time. I do think that there is something to that. And
they've never been, and Cody, they've never been, and I want to say in entirely a bad way, they have been part of ultimately what is a coddled generation in some ways compared to other people. And I'm not saying that we should just treat people like crap, but I can't just go to my son and be like, take all those bags of salt out and put them out by the pool or whatever and do all of that. And then he just wouldn't respond well to that. It's not that. And first, he's a really good kid. He would.
They grow up different. The type of discipline they receive, what resonates with them is completely different. And I agree with you. I do think Dave Canales is going to be better on that forefront when it comes to, connecting our players. But also you mentioned it too with Bryce. That seems to be the kind of leadership pattern that both of them operate on. And I think that's a good thing for camaraderie moving forward.
I do continue to go back to, while that is the case, and I do understand the value in that. I have a person I love at work. She got Teacher of the Year too recently. And she's friends with her students and also she's a good looking woman and it's probably a lot easier, but she does things. And also her discipline. She teaches sociology. So you can talk about things that are really relevant right now. It's kind of harder to be how do you think it would be to go through this in 17, whatever. But I feel like though she's about 6 or 7 years younger than me, and I don't feel like I have a hard time relating to my students, but I can feel the distance gap becoming there.
Right.
Starting to get there. It's like these kids ain't seen Wayne's World.
Right.
These kids, and they look at. So I just wonder. I feel like, but I do think Dave Canales' pedigree. He's not a newbie. He didn't just get shot up through the ranks entirely.
Right.
So I feel like he's youthful. He's optimistic. He's like a little Pete Carroll. He's like a little 42-year-old Pete. I think he's the same exact age as me, 42-year-old Pete Carroll, but he's not inexperienced, CK. And these kids, I feel like there might be, and maybe I'm searching for things to like about them, but maybe this generation will respond to that better than the old hat. That says, you remember this? Oh, go here. Hold on. Yeah, I got it right here. Maybe they'll respond better to it than this.
I checked.
Say goodbye to your credit card rewards. Greedy corporate mega stores, led by Walmart and Target, are pushing for a law in Congress to take away your hard-earned cash back and travel points to line their pockets. The Durbin-Marshall credit card bill would enact harmful credit card routing mandates that would end credit card rewards as we know it. If you love your credit card rewards, tell your lawmakers, hands off my rewards. Tell them to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill.
Philip has just lost the respect of the youth league football team he coaches. He was asked what New England should do in the draft, and his answer was objectively terrible. The Athletic just wrote a great article about this, but Philip doesn't have the Athletic or the respect of a boisterous group of 11-year-olds who once looked up to him. Learn from Philip's error, get the Athletic, and get the info you need to speak draft fluently.
Support for this podcast and the following message come from Corient. Corient provides wealth management services centered around you. They focus on exceeding your expectations and simplifying your life. Corient has been helping high achievers just like you enjoy their lives more fully, preserve their wealth, and provide for the people, causes, and communities they care about. As one of the largest integrated fee-only registered investment advisors in the U.S., Corient has deeply experienced teams in 23 strategic locations. Corient has extensive knowledge spanning the full spectrum of planning, investing, lending, and money management disciplines. Leverage Corient's exclusive network of experts to craft custom solutions designed to help you reach your financial goals, no matter how complex they may be. Real wealth requires real solutions. For more information, connect with a wealth advisor today at Corient.com. That's Corient.com. Corient.com.
Around with a few guys, and I said, okay, we're going to keep it 100, right? Isn't that right?
Nah, I mean, I hate to say that. I like anyway, CK, your thoughts on how he can relate to the generation that are the stars now, that are coming out of NIL, that are coming out of they've been groomed. Bryce Young had a freaking quarterback coach when he was like 12.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the White Chocolate's, point, he did have Nick Saban, right? So, I mean, he did have a coach who is, maybe you could put him at the same level as far as the style of coach as a Bill Belichick. So I don't know that I would use that for necessarily Bryce, but for the fact that our team is getting younger, I think that there is some value in having Dave Canales. And I do think having somebody in today's generation is important.
He's on Twitter saying, yeah. He probably doesn't look at it. He probably just says day one.
Right. Well, one of the things that I like about, even beyond just his ability to relate to maybe the younger players and everything like that, is if you watch Deontay Johnson's presser, he talked about it was
Deontay, where he said it was cool.
Yeah, he said he was cool, but I'm talking about Bryce's presser, where he was talking about his first interaction with Dave Canales. And he said Dave Canales was the only person who actually asked about why a play that he had in college, where what made you, check to this, you read the defense, you made an adjustment. What made you do that? And Bryce said that was like the only person that actually asked about things. Like everything else was about,
superficial
mechanics and superficial. Yeah. And he said that was he was the only person who actually was recognizing something that was incredibly deep, within their offense. And he was able to recite that specific play and ask Bryce about that. I thought that was something that I found to be illuminating a bit, because number one, it shows that it stuck with Bryce that he asked that question. And it shows us that, Canales he's not ignorant to what football looks like.
He's prepared.
Well,
and this is what
also,
go ahead.
I wanted to add too, Tony, that's the reason why you brought in this guy. I mean, even before we hired Frank Reich, the vision was to get an offensive-minded head coach to be able to pair with your quarterback for the foreseeable future, so that way you're not doing this revolving door of different offensive play sheets and play callers year in and year out. And the fact that him and Bryce are kind of already on that same page, to me, that really speaks dividends that we're moving in the right direction. And, what CK says, it seems like that type of cohesion on offense that we might be looking for, I think it's available with a guy like Dave Canales in a way that it just wasn't last year with Frank Reich calling plays. I did want to say one more thing about the enthusiasm bit and how upbeat and uplifting he is. And I feel like it's good right now. And it's good that we're excited about him and that we're thinking about the future and what this team has the capability of being. But I'm also a realist, and it's one of those things where if the Panthers come out and we kind of look out of sorts and we're not getting things together, then that optimistic attitude starts to play like Russell Wilson, and it rubs everyone the wrong way.
Oh, I asked the same question when we drafted Bryce last year, is at what point does everything's okay?
And it did rub people the wrong way at a certain point. Like kind of hearing him kind of just be like, oh, well, we'll get him next time. It lacked some of the enthusiasm and the aggression.
Losing makes everything more difficult. Winning makes everything easier. When it comes to Canales, though, a couple last points is somebody said earlier, they said he had drill sergeant coaches earlier. And I'm not specifically only talking about Bryce. I'm talking about the current football player who is been receiving NIL money, who has, been on social media, who has been it's a lot different to be a star football player today than it was 30 years ago. And talking in those generational things, maybe I'm hoping, and maybe I'm searching for things, right? The other thing is I worked at one where I work. Well, I don't want to say all that, but I've worked at an institution.
Then I have a question.
Where the very top person was very competent, but they were also very diplomatic and political, and they outsourced that to their offensive coordinator, to their defensive coordinator, so that drill sergeant brutality, they found a way. They've told the people what they do, and then they were always the good guy at the top. So we're hoping that maybe some of that toughness that you need, that grittiness, will be coming from the coordinators, which I think is good. Then they feel comfortable coming to the head coach. They feel, but also the other. Hold on, please don't let me. It was such a good thing. Dave Canales, coordinators, upbeat,
enthusiasm.
I think. Well, I do think this is. I do when they talk.
I had a question
when he talks coach speak, he does bring in specifics, right? So, like even when he talked about one of the things he talked with Bryce, he said he was talking about how your base needs to be right, and he's talking to these guys not just like, oh, you need better footwork, but like specific aspects. Dave Canales would probably be good Amazon executive. I heard that Jeff Bezos, the way the Amazon executives, when they pitch an idea or when they have those big meetings, they don't do a PowerPoint and they don't have just 10 minutes. They have to write a 6-page brief, and everybody sits in the room and reads the brief before they even talk about it. So you have to have really thought through and articulated specifics. And this is what I was going to say. When I was in graduate school, we used to have in graduate school, one of the things you do is you read this book every week. You read a book and you would come and talk about it. That would be the class for one of my professors. And I would always be talking, be like, oh, I got all these opinions on this. And sometimes he would mark other students higher who said less. And what I was like, all right, how do I get better? I went and talked to him. I was like, what do I need to do to get better? And he was like, look, you make good points, but they're kind of general. You're talking about the book and just like, hey, this is what I read. And so then it was about like, hey, this is my point. Let's look at page 322. Let's look at this passage right here. And that's all of a sudden it garners credibility. And that's what I really am hoping that he seems professional in that degree. Go ahead with your question, Cody.
Yeah. Well, my question is, what is coach speak? Right there when we're listening to Dave, because one of the things that him and Dan through both of their press conferences has really emphasized is competition. Now, again, this is nothing new. You hear coaches talk about competition all the time, but they're really kind of hitting home the idea that we want guys to not necessarily feel safe. So, for example, I believe they even brought it up in regards to Austin Corbett. He's penciled in as the starting center this year. But he said that he was completely okay with the scenario where maybe there was another guy via the draft that would be able to compete with him for that competition, just so that everyone is competing for their job. How much of that did you think is coach speak from Dave and Dan? Or do you really think that they want players on this team to feel like, like their job could be on the line if they draft a player or even bring in an undrafted free agent? Like, can there be players that move up this roster and up the depth chart just because Canales and the coaches like what they see? Is it real?
CK, we have had that conversation in past regimes on this podcast about like, are they having a competition? They say it's a competition. It's a fake competition. What do you think about Cody's question?
I think right now, the benefit of having a new coaching staff is they aren't married to a single person, right? They have no, outside of maybe the fact that Bryce was such a high pick, you have to continue on with him. Outside of that, nobody has the benefit of, I chose you, so we're going to give you a better option. We're going to give you more time, right? Everybody is brand new to these coaches and they all have to prove themselves individually, right? So I do think there is a level of competition that really does exist. I think that when you think about the contract that some of these guys have, such as an Austin Corbett, any of these guys, I think that there's going to be a natural inclination for this coaching staff to want to lean towards those guys because of their experience and the fact that
they've literally invested in them, not just financially, but in what their plan was.
Right. And so I think that there will be a competition. I just don't know that it's to the same. I don't think it's an even playing field for these guys. So yes, I think there's a competition. I think that my irritation with the idea of a competition amongst, the idea, the thing with, he's not saying that Bryce is in a competition with Andy Dalton, right? Matt Rule would have said that. Matt Rule said that CMC was competing for a starting role. It's the dumbest thing on the planet, right? The idea that your star players or the people that you are going to have be your starter, that they can't be listed as a starter from the get-go is dumb. To challenge them, that's fine. And that's what I love about what Dave Canales has done. Even with his presser, he was talking about the fact that he has this quarterback school that they're making sure that even Andy Dalton is doing things the right way.
Yeah, they're teaching him how to take a snap.
Taking a snap, right? Just the most basic things. And I love his ability to quote things such as Kobe Bryant. And I think that he seems to have a real important focus on the little things. And I think that's going to be helpful for Bryce. But from a competition standpoint, I think there are a lot of players, such as an Ike Ekwonu, such as an Austin Corbett, that are going to be competing for a starting role, because Ike right now, if you want to get real about it, he's going to have competition with Brady Christensen. And if much people don't want to believe that, there is going to be a competition, and I think it is a real one.
Cody,
well, I know
that hit that super chat up first, man.
Matthew Brown. Yeah, I want to make sure that we don't forget this. Matthew Brown with the 999.
Thank you so much.
Whatever happens in the draft this year feels I can be optimistic. It can't be worse than last year. The new setup looks interesting. You just have the same stupid owner.
Man, it's hard to disagree with any of those points. The only thing that is difficult for me is I said that though when we had Matt Rule. And arguably Matt Rule did a better job than whatever was last year. And that hurts me. That hurts me to say. I wanted to, when you're speaking about competition though, let's stick with this conversation for just a hair. I want to shout out, I'm assuming they're a listener because they're a follower on Twitter. I want to give them credit for this. It seems like a very nice. I love when people like hit me up and help me keep, I'm at work and stuff. And they at Tom_Don Nab, DONNAB, put very interesting article. Hit basically all of the creators up most. So I'm assuming they're invested in some of this stuff. So thank you for this secret round they were talking about. And it's talking about like how teams, get this. It's the undrafted. It's about how important undrafted free agents actually turn out to be. But we're not really going to get into that. This was, I thought, an interesting stat though. And just think about in lieu of our conversation of competition. In 2023, 194 week one starters, almost 28% were drafted in the first round of whatever draft they were in. So on day one of week one, first rounders make up almost a third of a roster, 30%. It says another 143 starters, or roughly 20%, were drafted in the second round. And another 107, or about 15%, were taken in the third round. So the starting lineup, the starters for all NFL teams, if you just take their is like 28 plus 20 is 48 plus 15. 48 and 15 is 63.
Yeah.
63% of rosters that start were drafted in rounds 1 through 3. Now, what the article is interested in though is that there is actually a big drop off though after rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6 and 7, and undrafted free agents actually can crack into those numbers, son.
Right.
But my question to you is, when we talk about competition, how do you, and this has been, if I had a question to ask Dave Canales on this podcast in training camp, it might be this one, is that if you do, like, we covered all this competition, but how do you really see enough to have somebody pull ahead of somebody who is a little bit more entrenched? We've gone to these training camps, guys. They're an hour and 45 minutes. Like, how do they way better. He had a way better camp. Like what? He had 8 better snaps. I think it is. That's why I give so much credit to people like Damiere Byrd and things like this. It's like the fact that you can crack this, because these guys have a lot. These top draft picks, they're entrenched, and you put money in them. What do you think, Cody? Is there real competition?
I don't know. It's like the past 2 years in a row, there's been that part of me that wanted to believe there was going to be real competition at certain places, only for me to be disappointed when it didn't happen. So it's like, I don't know. I'm still learning who Dave Canales really is. I mean, I feel like once training camp finally starts in earnest and we get reports of who's starting what rotations are looking like, then I get to feel like I'll be able to make a better judgment. But I don't know. I mean, even to this point, I haven't really had a lot of strong opinions on Dave Canales, just because I still feel like, one, we're learning who he is as a coach.
He's
and by the way,
even been a head coach.
Yeah, and he is learning who he is as a head coach.
Why don't we ask him about that?
I mean,
we have a clip where they're asking about what it's like to be a head coach, and when it comes to those, and just while you pull that clip,
I don't know if
I think
in
it's
the chat.
It is in the chat. I think it is. Just one of the downfalls right away with Reich and them is that they gave it to everybody. They made Jonathan Mango a starter from day one, basically.
Yeah, that was an odd decision. They didn't.
You know what I mean? Like they didn't really nourish any competition in reality there. You know what I'm saying?
Again, say what you will about TMJ, but let's be real about it. I mean, he had his best game, and they didn't even activate him for the following week. Like, it was wild. So here's the thing that I would bring up, and in my opinion, one of my arguments for the competition, the reason I didn't really like the idea of going into training camp with there being a competition at key positions, is because you're taking reps away from the people that are going to need the experience and learning the systems, right? That's why I was excited to hear him, Deontay Johnson, talk about the fact that he was already told he is going to be the X receiver and he's going to be the the number one read in most of their plays, because that allows them to set him into that position and not really be doing this like, we're going to put him there, then we're going to try out these guys, then we're going to try out these guys. It's going to allow Bryce to get chemistry with these players and hopefully see what the timing looks like, and they're able to do that. So that's my position. I think that competition is important, but I think the competition should happen before maybe getting to training camp.
Wasn't it kind of bananas that there was no competition for Reich staff going into the season, but as soon as there was a bad game, it's like competition up.
Yeah.
Next guy.
Yeah. But, and especially later in the season too, like after the midway point in the season, when you got rid of, I forget the guy's name, but we had a guard that played like every snap. But Throckmorton.
Yeah.
Calvin Throckmorton played like every snap, and then they cut him. And then dude, it was really
from the very beginning. They were already cycling through. After like week 2, they were like, you know what, we don't. And so that's a great point. Is when is the
and I don't have that clip. You sent me duplicates, by the way.
I sent you duplicates. All right, hold on. Yeah. What, it just played the same one over and over?
I have the upgrading the offense clip, but I don't have another one of Canales. Not that you said.
It's on being a head coach. No, yeah. Let me see if I can just do it since I got it pulled up now. So they asked him basically like, what's this is your first time as head coach, right? You've been a coordinator. And so you're always working with the quarterback. You're working, like you've got this. And that's really the hard part. You can be really good at a job, but being a manager takes a different skill set, right? It's taking an overseer, not letting you knowing when to be firm, knowing where to be at. And we know that Matt Rule probably struggled with a lot of this, is like, where the fuck he doesn't know where he's at on the field in these practices and things like that. So this is a legitimate question about Dave Canales, is like, what's it been like being the guy rather than a guy that has a specific job? Let's see. Well, you can hear this.
It's like, how much can I see? And today was hard because we're ironing out cadence stuff. Corbett's in there working with Bryce, a lot of communication stuff going on. And I'm like really hyper focused on just getting the play snapped and everything on time. But that is a challenge for me to continue to try to back my focus up so I can see, okay, start of the offensive play as it flows. What was the defensive call as well? Okay, it's this. The safety should be coming down here. And trying to expand my focus. I'm nowhere near where I would like to be on that. So, yeah, big challenge. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Dave Canales. And look, we have to know this, is that when you take a new position, regardless of your chops, right, and how talented you are and how capable you are, there is a learning curve of being there, knowing what you need to be involved with at what point, what you can outsource, what you can do. And this is where I do like Dave Canales a lot, is I feel like he's reflective enough to recognize this shit and to not. So, and maybe this is a fault of my own. Maybe I just like to see someone else in myself in someone else. And maybe I'm lying to you guys. Who knows? I feel like I'm a person that will tell you when I don't do, like, I usually look at myself wrong, like what I'm doing wrong first. Right. Instead of I hate the blame. I hate the finger point. You know what I'm saying? And I actually, and sometimes it can be to a fault when you're like, well, I could have done better on this. I could have done this better, and then like other people are like, yeah, you could have. And then they're not doing that. But to me, I think humility is a sign of confidence. I think when you can say, look, it's like, yeah, I've never been here. I've never done that. Instead of doing what Matt Rule would do, which is try to deflect.
Pretending like you have the knowledge when you don't. And you're just trying to fake it and pretend, get everyone to believe that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is, I thought that was an honest answer. And that will be the hard part, right? Isn't that going to be the hard part? Is like, hey, how do I step back? And imagine being one time, he was a first-time play caller last year, guys. Right? Imagine how tuned in you are to every play, right? You're like, oh, what's the next play? You got 2 or 3 queued up. It's so much going through your head. Now he's going to do play calling. He's going to have to be managing timeouts. He's going to have to be doing all of this. And to me, one of the biggest blessings ever on this podcast, Cody, is when you take care of some of these things that at least allow what I feel like me to relax and host the show rather than worrying about, have we put up all these comments? Have we got this, And I think that's going to be the first test for him in his first year, is how do you do all of it at once?
Yeah. Delegating power is one of the more underrated traits that you need to have when you are a head coach, Like you mentioned, you're able to do this show better because I do my job well, because CK does his job well. And it's like, once you get on that rhythm where everybody knows their job and they know how to execute their job to perfection, that's when you get a team firing on all cylinders. And that's what I'm thinking that we're all really being hopeful for, that this energy that Canales brings, it does provide everyone a chance to get on the same page, where it felt like no one was on the same page the last, really the past 3 or 4 years. We only have a few more bits.
You want to take a couple of calls real quick, though? Maybe let's interject that maybe two.
The clips that we got are only like 30 seconds for you.
Okay.
I would say let's kill the clip. Let's finish all the clips, and then we can roll through some calls and finish the slide.
This Deontay Johnson was going to be a big one, dude.
Oh, it is. Well, just the ones with Bryce, I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, because we did hear a little bit from Bryce. And this is, listen, we've talked about this before, how big of a year Bryce needs to have next year going forward, and how he plans to turn around and move on from that. And this is how Bryce is essentially trying to put 2023 behind him.
Right now, it hasn't been much of a thought about last year. Last year is what it is. There's learning, there's growing, and we've talked about it. But right now, we're in. We're focused on the future. So it's all about learning the offense. Learning the people around us, getting these reps out in the field. Getting the chemistry down. So really, right now, all we're doing is focusing on this year.
One thing that sticks out about Dave is his energy. What were your early impressions?
All right,
second one.
No. So the Bryce is not trying to look at last year, and he shouldn't. Huh? No, I know he shouldn't. Again, are these? But I actually feel when I listen to Bryce that I kind of believe it.
I also feel like he's as expected. This being his second year, having to take these interviews and what have you. I feel like he's a little more laid back in the interviews as well. He's not so he still says the knows, but he is a lot more confident in the things that he's saying, it feels like.
Do you know how difficult it is to do that? We are so critical of people in those positions, right? And let me tell you this is go and give a press conference after a loss and not mix up words. I mix up my words all the time. I mix up names.
Same.
You know, it's really not.
It's hard not to,
it's
man. There's
hard.
so many names, so many people.
But it's hard to. It's easy to criticize. It's hard to do. You know, and so look, is that this is where I recognize with some of these kids is, man, like we're asking them to be great at everything from day one, from dealing with adversity, dealing with the football, to dealing with the. But I really feel like Bryce, when he said that, if he was taking a lie detector test, I think he would have passed there.
Yeah, well, and
Like,
it's not about
else,
what you've done. It's not about what you've done, but what you're doing for me lately. And what he has been doing has been working on refining a lot.
What
of
has he been doing this offseason? What has he been doing, Cody?
Well, let the man tell you.
You see, with the new system, new coaching staff, taking ownership and really making sure that I'm studying the stuff that we have is something that's been big. Whenever I'm, when you're able to understand stuff and it be second nature, and you eliminate the, you have all that stuff, your stuff down, which is just my job to do with studying, getting stuff done. That's obviously been a big focus. And then just listening to what the coaches are saying as far as, getting new concepts, trying to work new timing and align with the same stuff that they're saying, from footwork to reads to all that. So, taking their leadership, taking their guidance, and then just been an emphasis on working on that and getting as many reps that I could away from here. And then obviously now that we're here with the guys.
I didn't start counting until about 20 seconds in, but I got 3 in those.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I have verbal tics all the time. I used to say,
dude, and honestly, it's not even a big deal. We make it a big deal because it's funny. Because once you notice it, you can't unnotice it.
Right.
But dude, someone just needs to tell them. Because I feel like everyone does this. Like, especially when you're learning how to speak in front of people, a lot of those likes and your nose and things that never check you. People never check.
Mine used to be. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, I need some affirmation. I have this guy, my best friend at work, he says at the end of the day, and I said, God, you said that like 7. And now every time he says it, he's like, damn it.
But that's what I'm saying. Once
it bothers him more than it bothers me.
Once someone lets him know, I think he'd be okay, and he'd probably, but
I don't give a shit about. I have no problem with him.
I'm just saying. A lot of the times,
did he say anything that he worked on though?
I mean, no, but there's not really a lot to work on.
Yeah, I mean, getting stronger, getting whatever, working on your velocity. He didn't say anything. That man didn't say he was working on his football, like trying to be more agile. He didn't say, oh, man, Jameis Winston would have put up, he'd be like, you want to see what I'm working at? Look at these videos, motherfucker.
And by the way, I know this is so trivial. I mean, it's only last year that we're talking about, like in terms of time span, but he doesn't look much bigger to all the people that were like,
he's not gonna ever look much bigger.
To all the people that were like, oh, he'll be able to put on.
Oh no, he's never. His frame would look silly if he put on weight.
Confirms what I've always said about Bryce. Is like, this is the quarterback that you're getting. That's his size. He's not really going to put on. He doesn't have the frame to really put on.
No, and it would probably be worse on him. It's just, Cody, my least favorite Twitter person.
Yeah, don't you?
Well, I know, but you probably know this person that always just rubs me the wrong way. For some,
like 4 of them. But I know who.
But I hate that. I hate that. But so now it's like Bryce defender mode, right? Like it's like
everybody has to,
right, which is fine. I mean, hey, but this is I saw this tweet that goes, they didn't ask him to throw the deep ball much in college. So this is, and I was like, wait a second, motherfuckers. All y'all did was put up clips of this guy throwing this.
Talk about how there was no reason to worry about
now that offense didn't throw the deep ball. Like,
now you're saying what we all saw on film and we were looking at them the entire
this is why I don't talk about draft picks, bro. Like this is why I lost my cred when I used to think Kevin White was going to be the fucking best thing ever. That's the thing is not you guys, people make so many certain, and this is kind of like with the COVID shit with like the CDC. It's like they spoke with so much authority on so little. It's like, oh wow, you saw 5 clips. Right. I mean, let's speak with authority. And I was like, what do you mean he didn't throw the deep ball a lot then? And not like, it's like, you didn't like ask him. It's just like all of this
fans, when you're one of those fans, and it goes both ways if you think good or bad of him. But when you dig in that trench,
yeah, and you're good at it too, bro.
Oh, I know, but I feel
that's why we got to die on this hill shit for you.
Yeah, but I feel like I picked the right hills to die on. Y'all might
disagree.
Right. When it comes to quarterbacks, if you have dug in the trench one way or the other on Bryce Young, 2024 could be pretty bad for you, depending on how it goes. So
we got anything? So now we're just learning that Bryce didn't throw deep balls. First, I think he could be great. I mean, I think he'd be good. All of this stuff. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, you got to be. I'm a Bryce fan, so I'm not rooting against him. But like, I'm going to tell you this: I was about dead, but he said it's like, oh, well, they didn't ask him to do a lot of that. Now we're going to learn about that game. Like, what the fuck is the number 1 overall pick, man? It's like, what are you like?
I know, but dude, it's all the things I was saying. You want arm talent when you're drafting number 1.
Well, maybe, but Zach Wilson just got traded, bro.
No, listen, it's all no, I did see that. Wow. It's all behind us now. And listen,
he's us. We're with him.
I'm at this place right now. See, another reason everybody wants to get in on Bryce before he really turns it around is to be able to do that. See, I told you so.
Yeah.
Me, I'm okay with saying, no, I haven't seen enough. And Bryce has it in him to be able to change my mind, and my mind can be changed. But as of right now, I'm not going to sit here on this podcast in front of our viewers and tell you that Bryce Young is a sure thing. If you believe that, that's awesome, and I hope he is. But after last year and my original thoughts on him during the draft, I need to see a lot this year.
He's got a lot to do, in my mind, to become cooler to me than Cam.
Dude, he really does have the anti-Cam Newton effect.
Well, no, I mean, you're right. You said this from the beginning.
But I mean,
he's like that. Right. But what I'm saying is to imagine Cam Newton is my favorite quarterback for the Carolina Panthers ever. And he will be until someone else makes him not. Right? Just like Luke Kuechly is the linebacker that is your favorite until he's not. For me, Julius Peppers is the GOAT until he's not. What I'm saying is this mug is gonna have to put in a lot of work anyway. I'm hoping for him. Look, why Big Jordan said Bryce better than Cam. Love it. I hope so. I hope so. You know what? All it would take is one Super Bowl.
Let him earn that.
No, one Super Bowl. That's all it would take.
Let him earn that.
He can.
If it ends up being that, fine. Don't give him that.
There's only one thing that could earn it, to be honest. Unless you went to like what could supplant Bryce Young in your mind as your fave, your player crush other than Cam. And it would have to be either like you went to like 4 NFC championships in a row and you went to super, like you didn't win. I guess maybe you could say that, but Cam had the greatest season of 50. Like we went to it. Like there's only one thing you do, one thing, and we're going to love you more. And that's win a Super Bowl. That's it. Hey, that's what it requires.
In the meantime, I need him to make me want the ball in his hand with the game on the line. Well, right now, I don't know if that's where I want the ball, but that's what
you better at this point, and we don't have enough evidence yet. And if you don't, then that sucks. So we need it this year. We're going to learn it. Bryce Young's going to become it. We're going to fucking go on. We're going to build, and we're going to be great. In a couple, maybe in a year or 2 years, we're going to win a Super Bowl, and then all of this is water under the bridge. We're rooting for you, bro. I'm rooting for him. Put the ball in his hands this year. I want him to thrive. I want him to do all of that. But imagine Cam Newton had a 15-1 season, MVP. Like, how do you beat that? There's only one thing, and it's a Super Bowl.
Yeah, if you win the Super Bowl, that changes everything. The first Panthers quarterback to win a Super Bowl, that's going to
be the greatest.
But until then, man, they're all hypotheticals. I need to see it before I believe it. But Tony, now
calls, please.
We can get into your cat calls, man. If you would like to be a part of the show tonight, join in, hit our cat calls line at 252-228-5090. Let your voice be heard on the longest running Panthers podcast in all of the history of time.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Yo, you know who it is. This Lou from Fort Myers, and it's
what up, Lou?
Showtime, baby. Man, there hasn't really been much to call about, but I feel like there's been less and less calls on the podcast, so I'm gonna have to put my little 2 cents in. But man, like I said, there isn't really much to talk about. The draft, this Thursday coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like what I would want in the draft if I had all those picks. What I'd go pick number 33. I would go center. No, actually, I'm lying. I would go that linebacker, then center, and then corner.
Linebacker, center. Is that the end of the call? I don't know if that was the end of the call or not. I think Tony walked away for a sec.
My fault, y'all. I'm at work, but like I said, it's a good morning. This and that.
All right.
Yeah. So I'd go Peyton Willis or whatever the dude name is. Peyton Luke, pretty much Luke Kuechly Jr.
Peyton Wilson, we got you, Lou.
Go get me a nice center, because you could get you a good center at 39. And then with the third round pick, I'll probably go corner. There's probably a good corner there, bro. There's probably a good corner. I probably went to a smaller school or something, maybe one of those Colorado or TCU corners, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, there isn't that much to say. Like, I'm kind of hurt because people said we need wide receiver. And then I was going to say in the last call, but like, bro, we got Laviska Shenault. Like, bro, we didn't even get to see this man do that much, bro. I felt like his time here was wasted. I feel like Laviska Shenault could have had a breakout year if we didn't have horrible coaching, bro. Like, literally horrible coaching in a literal horrible field. But yeah, bro, that's my thought. Do I say we get another wide receiver? Nah, bro. I'm gonna be honest. Nah. I feel like we can get some free agents. Like, there's some people that ain't gonna make the 53-man roster that are gonna be tough as fuck. Like, excuse my language, but ISM, he didn't make the 53 roster, and now look at him. He's like one of our favorites. You know what I'm saying? And we don't even use ISM like how we supposed to be using. You know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, man. Shout out Tony. Shout out Panther Pickle. Shout out Cody. Shout out Code Dizzle, CK. Shout out Greg. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Eric.
Hey, shout out my boy Lou. Lou, we appreciate you, brother. I mean, a lot of good stuff there, man. I don't know. I disagree with them about the wide receiver. I don't think we're done trying to upgrade that position, CK, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit too, about a certain player that thinks that he's going to be the pick at 33. But moving off of that, Tony, CK, one of the conversations that we've been having on the free for all is a defensive player potentially more important with those second round picks than even an offensive player or wide receiver. A lot of people have been saying corner. Some people have been saying another linebacker. How pressing is it, do you think, to draft a wide receiver over some of these other defensive positions that the Panthers are still clearly in need of?
Dude, that's such a tough question because I do think that just based on how they handled free agency, that there's going to be a natural inclination to go after a defensive-minded or a defensive player early in the draft, if not with both of those second-round picks. But we also have an offensive-minded head coach that makes me wonder if that's the case or not. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know that that's going to be like, I don't know that I'm leaning one way or another as what I think is going to be the more likely outcome. But I mean, who knows? We've been surprised before. I mean, think about that year we drafted only defensive players. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not, and again, I'm a person that doesn't, over 10 years of doing this podcast, I've done the draft. I've done it, in different ways, put different energy into it. I don't think you should. I think fans are locked into that.
Right.
And I understand why, right? I mean, I understand why you want a wide receiver, why you're looking at other teams with these, rookie wide receivers doing well. I think it's too much paper drafting though. And I'm not saying, look, and if they do it and they believe in it, I just want the Panthers to do what they truly believe in, not what they think is either going to get short-term gains or make people happy or make David Tepper happy or whatever it may be. So I'm not locked in and getting a wide receiver in that second round. Again, I'm here for chaos. I'm here for the Panthers to take two defensive players at 33 and 39 and the whole Panther Twitter break. I understand why you want to get young off. It's fun. It's great. It's skill players and all of this but I'm not, if we walk away and we don't get a wide receiver in round 2, I'm not going to say, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah. Especially depending on who we take. So for example, if we take a nickel corner, like last Tuesday, we talked about Mike Sandstrel, the nickel corner out of Michigan. I think we're all going to be a little pissed, and he might be a great player, but that seems like an overdraft.
Or like a tight end,
wide receiver. If one of the top wide receivers are there, and you take a nickel corner, then yeah, people are going to be pissed. However, if you take a Kool-Aid McKinstry or a Nate Wiggins, or the other corner from Alabama, whose name escapes me right now, those guys really looks like they could be worth their weight in salt at the position. And on the other side, you have J.C. Horn, who, I guess we could just talk about it now. We don't, since we're...
let's talk about
it's been revealed that the Denver Broncos, they picked up their 5th-year option on Pro Bowl cornerback Patrick Surtain, who was picked 1 pick later than J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn went 8, Surtain went 9, and the deadline to put to pick up the 5th-year option is May 2nd. So this is a decision that's kind of looming for the Carolina Panthers. We don't know what we're going to do with J.C. Horn.
Will they pick up J.C. Horn's 5th-year option?
In need of that breakout season. So we've talked about it before, boys. Corner might be low-key the most the position that we're in need of the most help at right now on the roster. It probably is corner.
As if you got a moment, Cody, can you set up a poll?
Sure. But what you need?
Should the Carolina Panthers pick up J.C. Horn's 5th-year option?
Gotcha, boss.
We want you guys to tune in. You can call in at 252-228-5098 and let us know. This guy right here, I'm not a J.C. Horn cuck or whatever. Like I want him. Look, what I've seen him when I've seen him play, he's been pretty good. Like he's been good. But I think there's a lot of verification bias or belief bias that comes into this. Is like you think he's good, so whenever you see a play that he plays good, then you're like, oh, I told you he was good. all of this. And I have nothing against JC Horn, but I will say this is, man, it's pretty clear he's just been unavailable throughout his career in Carolina. I actually would not be upset, though, if the Carolina Panthers picked up his 5th-year option. And my argument to you guys of why that is, and not because I believe he's great, not because I believe he's like seatbelt and all this, like you guys say he is, like he's the best when he's on the field and all this shit, is if he has a good season this year, I think the predicament you get in is very difficult. And that is, it's like, man, we know you're good, or we believe you're good. You had a good season. You've been mired by an injury. I almost just feel like it would make us make a decision on limited data.
Yeah.
And the 5th-year option would give us, you might pay a little bit more for him. It would suck if it didn't go well. But if it did go well this year, then you would have a little latitude on figuring out, is it a one time, like, hey, and I think you could be honest with him in the negotiation room and say, look, it's like, we love you. You're badass. But look, this is a reality. And so, I mean, I don't know. It's like, if you don't give him that 5th-year option, he plays a full 17 this year, say he's really good throughout. Then you're in the position of this is like, now you got to pay this. You got to either pay him or let him walk. That would be nerve wracking to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's expensive to pick up that 5th-year option, but I really think you have no choice, man. With how unfortunate his injury history has been, you're going to need the next 2 years to really know what you have in JC Horn. And I think he knows that as well. The Panthers know that. We're going to need to see him be healthy and be a shutdown corner for the next 2 years before he hopes to get any kind of real money here in Carolina. But, I mean, if you don't pick up that 5th-year option, then essentially this is the most important year of JC Horn's career.
Yeah, and if he balls out, and thank you, Anthony is picking up what I'm putting down because he shares a strong name. He says his 5th year would be $12 million. It's not expensive. He says, laughing my ass off. I would say, in my opinion, it's not that expensive. It's relatively expensive.
I mean, it's
expensive if he doesn't work. It's expensive if it doesn't work in that moment. But then signing somebody to like a $76 million contract, and then it doesn't work again, that's more expensive. I just want more data with JC Horn. I don't think we've had enough, to me, to just say that he's the greatest corner I've ever seen. And I know that what he's done has been commendable for what he is when he's been out there. So here, let's take another call. You guys get in the poll. The number's 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button. Share the show, guys. Share the show. Longest running Panthers podcast. Might not be the biggest, but we are the mightiest because of you guys. And if you just share the link on Twitter or X, share the link on Facebook, drop it in on Reddit. You probably shouldn't say that. Reddit people would be mad I said that. Drop it in a Facebook group. Let other people find us, because it's hard to pierce through all the noise on the internet. And then let those people be a part of our community. Let's go to the next call.
Hey guys, this is Ewing again. Hopefully I can watch you guys' draft show live. It depends on what the wifey wants.
Don't give in, bro. Live your own life.
The experts. I understand the receiver, but I do agree with the professor that let's not reach. Let's not be desperate. I say play the best player available based on our list of needs. So for me, that is lineman, tight end, receiver, obviously, but also linebacker. Big time on linebacker. I think that's actually our weakest position on defense besides maybe edge or corner. But that's a toss-up between those and also corner. I'd say any of those, best player out of that group, as long as it makes sense and the board makes sense for any of those positions. I would murder for Luke Wilson. I think he might fall to middle of the second. I don't think he's getting out of the second round. And honestly, if his injury concerns can be eliminated,
we have a Luke Kuechly 2.0. I mean, that he's filmed a lot, tackling machines, can get inside defenses' heads. And honestly, don't forget, when has been the best success of our team has always been when we've had a dominant or at least good quality middle linebacker. Minter, Beeson, Thomas, Kuechly. I mean, some of our best teams were when those guys were in charge. Jack, great guy, great linebacker, but he's not a general. He is not a leader. He can't look into a quarterback and say, oh, I know what you're going to do here. Because if you have someone who knows what the plays are going to be, he can raise up subpar talent. And I think we have someone who can figure out what the plays are before they happen. You get guys in the right position. I think even if we don't have the best defense, those players, we have a good defense because we know what's going on. That's all I got. I still think we need a general in that regard. And then besides that, receiver, yes, I agree. But let's not get handcuffed to it. If we don't get one in the second round because the board doesn't fall to us, I'm not going to complain as long as we fill certain needs. Corner, tight end, center, edge, receiver, linebacker. So we got 6 different positions of need. Guaranteed someone can be a first-round talent available in one of those positions at 33. Just let's see what the big board tells us. That's all I got, guys. Keep pounding. I hope to watch the show. Maybe I can connect to you if I can. See you guys later.
Great call. Great call there. Appreciate it. We go back again. I have to remind everybody we've been doing this podcast for 11 years. Remember that, folks. Talk about longevity. We got the longevity gene of podcasts.
People are getting pissed in the chat about Peyton Wilson continuing to be called Luke Kuechly 2.0.
Okay, well, I mean, I think look is and I understand that is like you don't want to crown somebody before they have done anything, but Luke is associated with the kid, right? So that it's not like it's like, oh, we just found a white linebacker who won the Buckeyes. It's like Luke is also his personal coach. So I mean 2.0, 2.70, whatever it is, like mock draft, whatever. And Luke is the greatest. But here, it's easy to shit on Dave Gettleman because of how it ended and then how he spiraled out of control in New York. But before Dave Gettleman bought into his own ego, he was a good GM. And the problem with Dave Gettleman that what turned out is that he didn't listen to his own advice over time. And Dave Gettleman would say things like this. He would say, you got to build with the hog mollies. You got to let a big dog walk sometimes, i.e. Brian Burns, right? Like sometimes you got to let this go. And not because they're not a good player, but because it's going to have some other effect on the team. Those are all right things, right? I mean, he also used to talk about building through the center, right? And so not only, and maybe he's a little old school, so you think of, but Cody, you've been one of these people that you were early to this too, about this new NFL actually makes guards and centers more important than you think. You've been saying that for years now, but building through the center. And if you think about that if you've followed that trajectory of Derek Brown to a middle linebacker to a safety, right, is like having these guys that then you can build around. Dave Gettleman also said this, is he said you use free agency to set up the draft. And the one time he didn't do that with the Josh Norman, we rescinded that contract and then he shopped Hungary and he got those corners. Yeah, that's when it all fell apart. But he was right about he was right. He just didn't listen to his own advice. So you don't want to go into this draft and shop Hungary, number one. I think building through the center too, like that middle linebacker is not a bad thing. I'm rooting for that to be our pick. And I don't know. When I say the center, I mean like through the middle of the deep.
Build inside out.
Right. I'm rooting for Luke Wilson to be the pick.
Well,
I don't know enough about him, CK, but look, it's just what I say is about this is to me, it would just make such a great storyline. Dan Morgan, former middle linebacker, selects new standout linebacker who is coached by Luke Kuechly, greatest linebacker in Panther history. I'm rooting for that. Well, that's the storyline I want to talk about on this podcast.
Well, I mean, here's the argument. You know, there's the people in the chat aren't the only ones that are frustrated with the decision to want to crown him as the next Luke, mainly because, again, his connection to Luke through Luke's own comments, right? Makes sense, right? I understand why they have that. I also understand why it makes sense and why it's easy to do that, because we've always been, as we talked about, I think on Tuesday, we've always been a linebacker focused team. Like, we've always had top 10 linebacker play for pretty much the entire history of the Carolina Panthers.
We've never had a bad core until after Luke left.
The problem with that thought is it's like shopping hungry. I talked about this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like going and seeing these
nostalgia.
Yeah, you're seeing the pizza rolls and you're like, this looks really good. You know what I mean?
Steak
and then
used to taste great when I was young.
Right, exactly. It's like, I'm trying to think of the you get done eating those pizza rolls and they're not as good as you thought and you're super disappointed. It makes it 10 times worse because now you're feeling bad at the same time, and it's just like you're chasing after this feeling that you're never going to get because it's impossible to be able to replicate what you've had in the past, at least just on a dime. So
and the past is always better than in your memory than it was. I came from a lower class my mom and I were on our own for a little while, and no money. Like SpaghettiOs were like rich people food, right? Like I look at people in my neighborhood and be like, "Oh man, eating SpaghettiOs." So when I had kids, like one day the wife went, like when my dad went, it's my adopted, like hamburger helper. Like my mom would go out of town, he'd be like, "Let's make hamburger." I was like, "Oh, hamburger helper, shit's awesome." Bro. And so when I had children, one time our kids went out, or my wife went out of town, and I was like, "Hey, try these SpaghettiOs." And my kids were like, "These fucking suck, bro." And I tried them back and I was like, "You're right. They're terrible." So nostalgia is a part of it. But CK, we do need linebacker. We need a linebacker. We don't have one. We haven't had one. And it turns out that they're more important to a team than the NFL analytics give credit to.
I mean, I don't think that's an improper argument. You know, I just, again, I think the problem that people have isn't the fact that we'd be going after a linebacker. It's that we're
Are we going after it because of
his, yeah, exactly.
Because of and kind of like I get annoyed when people, even Cody on this podcast, will be like, "He's from Charlotte." Right? It's like,
bro, it
drives me nuts. But I think CK is bringing up a great point, is that I'm rooting for it because of that nostalgia, CK.
Sure.
I will go ahead and admit that is like, I am rooting for it because I long the days of a Panthers defense where the linebackers were fucking sick. And we had Dan Morgan and Will Witherspoon. Will Witherspoon went off and had a great career with St. Louis. Then we had John Beeson and Thomas Davis. Then we had Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly. Then we, it was just, I agree. Great point, CK. You want to take another call?
Sure, let's do it.
What's going on, my C3 family?
Oh, man. Love this.
Sanford, North Carolina.
Makes my heart.
AKA C3 D Money. Proud member of the C3 family. Proud member of the C3 Legion. Shout out to the founder, Tony Dunn, to the homie Cody Lack, to CK, Code Dizzle, Papa Pickle, shut the hell up, my man Deez and Cody and the whole Legion family, Anthony, I all love you, the great Christian Leday. Oh, I woke up so juvenated today, family. Pickle was out there just in the Legion's chat, dropping all that OTA footage and practice footage, seeing these boys pouring the foundation. These boys out here, if they're not dogs, learning how to become dogs. It put a smile to my face. But that's all I'm going with that right now. Where I want to get in is Tony Dunn. I say Tony Dunn.
I'm here for you, brother.
I was watching the Friday Free Fall and I saw the tears, man, and I saw the emotion, and I just saw how much Joe meant. Didn't know Joe personally, but it made my heart smile because of the simple fact that that dude started something with you without the foresight of knowing that a ragtag bunch of Carolina Panthers would join together and become a family and become a legion. That's something special, family. And then when you sit back and we got guys like Evan and them with the analytics and wanting numbers and ratios and figuring out probabilities, and then you got Pickle digging for all this information and D's and all them and Tony and Cody with all the info, you can't convince me that we are not the greatest Panther group there is. I encourage all y'all to keep pounding. And I know it was a rough and emotional week last week, people. I understand that, but guess what? We here today. For whatever we do,
Yes,
Panther Nation and Panther Wise, from now on, we do it for Joe. We do it for the guy that helped set a platform for us to have a family. And that means more than me than a whole lot of things. I gained so many brothers, uncles, sisters, cousins, and everything of that nature that I am absolutely thoroughly just happy in my soul for what has been built here. And even though I'm just a tiny cog in this machine that we call
you're
the
very
Three
special,
family,
brother, bro.
I am happy that we are here.
The man.
I don't know if look, as you can send me, and look, I appreciate anybody that says thoughts and prayer, and anything. Thank you for mentioning or even acknowledging Joe or what he meant to me. But that call right there, I told you I wasn't gonna break up. I'm trying not to break up tonight, but that call, D, means so much. And what it means, that's exactly what this accidentally became. To hear somebody care about me, Joe, who he didn't know, but care about this, that's incredible, man. And what actually that does to me, D, you just helped rejuvenate my view on humanity in a way. And not that I was feeling bad about humanity, but like that right there, to someone say those.
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Swimsuit? Check. Sunscreen? Check. Phone charger? Check. Don't forget to pack the 5-Hour Energy. It fits great in a pocket or carry-on, and the alert feeling will help you arrive ready for anything. Now get 20% off when you use code 5HETRAVEL at 5hourenergy.com. Expires April 30th. One-time use only. Not valid with other discounts. Remember, visit 5hourenergy.com and use code 5HETRAVEL to save 20%.
Type of kind words, not only, and not just in passing. That was a meaningful and authentic words, because he is part of us. And you're not a small cog. You know? I mean, you're a big part of this. And we never did it to make money. And don't worry, we ain't making any. You might make, little, like a couple, you make $200 this month or something.
The money is the people that come to the chat room.
Yes.
That leave the messages.
Dude, I'm telling you, there's nothing more. That might be the most moving thing I've heard from somebody. And I'm talking about, and first, my mom's in the chat. So, Mom, thank you. My mom always got my back. She got my back more than anybody. She'd come in here and fight over me. But she would also be like, clean up your language while I beat up these guys for talking junk. Like, say the rosary about them. No, but that meant a lot to me, D. A, and B, bro, you're not a small part. You're the reason. You right there, that call right there. Dude, we used to, when we started the cat calls, we had to have plants. I was worried about like, hey, we're going to say call into the show. And if you have a call into the show and nobody calls, that's not a good thing. So I'd have my friends call up and leave a message. Mel Mayock used to call up as a fake person, as a Saints fan or something. Right? And now we have people that do this. God bless you. That meant a lot to me.
Love you, dude. You're the man, brother. We love all of our C3 family. We believe that we are building the most inclusive Panther community in all the internet,
Cheers to
man. We
that.
want y'all to be a part of it. And dude, man, we hope that y'all are looking forward to this draft night as much as we are, baby. We're about to have a C3 draft weekend. And we're about to do it in Joe
Your friends still call up. And you're right. Actually, that's exactly right. Is you know what? We just get 40 friend calls now. Why don't we take another friend call here? Panther friends, here we go.
And for everybody in Panther Nation, I know it's not been easy. But like I said in the Legion the other day, Joe kept pounding.
Thank you.
The great Sam Mills kept pounding. And whatever we got going on in our lives, family, we keep pounding. And it's always going to be a little bit easier because we know we got each other. I love every single one of y'all from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, man. Well, and one thing I learned from Joe and another person, and it's not just Joe, I would say, man, I've learned a lot of this from Cody too, is the strength and resiliency of the human spirit, right? Is like, when you see it, like sometimes I don't think I have it, right? But we all have it. It's just like it has to be. There's moments it's brought out of us. So look, you guys have taught a lot of lessons to me. Joe taught a lot of lessons to me. Cody, you've taught a lot of lessons. I'm sitting here, the guy who feels like, and when you said the managerial role, like to let people do things, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's hard for people when they're pretty good at stuff and they can't, you know what I'm saying? And so like the idea, I don't know. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. Let's go to Anthony from Charlotte. You mean a ton to me. CK, everybody, man. I'm telling you, the fact that I can depend on these guys, like I've been, again, going through a lot of stuff with this and other things too. And the fact that I know these guys are going to be here, right, without fail. How incredible is that? Let's go to Anthony from Charlotte, another guy who's going to be here without fail.
Yo, what's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Hope y'all boys are having a good Tuesday. Just calling in. Gonna be the final call. I'll see y'all boys on Friday. Should be a great, draft show. Not much to talk about in terms of that. But I do want to say this. And so today they started the mandatory mini camp. Just drills, basic stuff. Saw some of the new players. Canales was speaking. Deontay Johnson was speaking. Bryce Young was speaking. I'll start with Deontay Johnson. He basically said like he likes Canales' energy. He said he's here to make Bryce Young better. That's all he pretty much said. He looked like he was happy though, which is good, which is what you want to see from a player that gets traded, especially to our team, which is interesting. Canales, He talked a lot. I mean, he's very in detail, but I'm going to sum it up just to the point that I wanted to talk about in this call. He said that Deontay Johnson is going to be the X receiver, and he's going to be the first read on a lot of the plays. Now, I'll hold that for the end of the call. On to Bryce Young, he basically just said that, he's putting the past behind him, and that he likes that he's basically, I mean, it sounded like he took some, like, coded Bryce Young wording shots, if you know what I mean, at Frank Reich and the coaching staff, saying it'll be good to hear from just one voice this year, have one vision. And he said, they kept asking about last year, David Newton, dumbass, kept saying, well, how do you feel about the quarterback narratives and this and that? He said, well, that's out of my control. There's nothing I can do. The past is the past. I like that mindset. He doesn't seem scruffed up like Matt Rule did by the end of going into year 3 or anything like that. So that's good to see. But the last thing I wanted to circle back to was talking about Deontay Johnson playing the X. Now, Deontay Johnson he's one of those receivers. He plays in the slot, he plays outside, but it's like everyone's been hyping up this train for like guys like Xavier Legette and Keon Coleman and this and that. But if Deontay Johnson's going to play the X receiver, why would we draft another guy like that? This makes me think that potentially, I think the whole Xavier Legette thing could be a smokescreen. I have no idea. But this leads me into thinking that they may secretly be looking at a wide receiver like Xavier Worthy or Ladd McConkey to play the Z. Those are my thoughts.
Oh, I appreciate you, Anthony. That kind of does lead us into one of the things that we've been kind of waiting to talk about. So probably best time to just do it now. We appreciate you, Anthony, for your call. One of the things that we learned from the press conferences that went on today and yesterday is we heard from new Carolina Panther Deontay Johnson, who has said something that really kind of stuck out to people. Basically said that he was brought in specifically to be the X wide receiver, and that on the majority of plays, he's going to be the first read. So don't listen to me tell you that he said it. Listen to Deontay Johnson himself. And turn the volume up.
Head coach Dave told me that as soon as I got here, I'm playing the X. You're gonna be the first read in a progression almost every play. So, because my unique skill set I bring to the table, and I'm gonna utilize it.
So this is a two-parter. We're gonna kind of talk about this in a few different facets, but one, let's take that at face value. What do you think about Deontay Johnson saying he's the number one, he's the X, he's going to be the guy that's going to be the first read on the majority of plays? Do you think this is good for Deontay Johnson? Do you trust him in that role? And Anthony thinks that this may be even a smokescreen, maybe trying to get other teams to kind of feel like, well, if Johnson's the X, then the Panthers don't need to go get another X. But what do you make of this and Deontay Johnson saying
CK,
this?
you go first.
I mean, again, I think that he's probably being sincere, which is why you're not seeing us being talked about when it comes to Deebo Samuel or not Deebo. I mean, Brandon Ayuk or T. Higgins or anything like that, So I think that there's probably some legitimacy to that. I don't think that means that precludes us from taking a guy in the second round. I just think that means that they're going to be the role that, quite honestly, they should be, which is the Y. Depending upon the type of guy you get. If you get a guy who's better at slot, obviously go ahead and throw that guy in there. But I don't hate it. I don't think it's necessarily a smokescreen. I don't think Deontay Johnson would say that publicly and then if he hadn't been told that, because it's going to make him look like an absolute doofus if he's not able to actually be that guy this upcoming season. So I think he's going to be the primary look, and I think that's good to know that right now, instead of having this question mark like we had last year. Who's the number one wide receiver? DJ Chark, Adam Thielen? Is it going to be Mingo that we drafted? And we just didn't know what was going to be the case. Now we know, and that allows these guys to actually build an offense around around the players that they have and what their plans are moving forward.
Maybe the Panthers didn't want him to come out and say this is honestly, maybe this is being too honest on his part. You know what I'm saying? Is like giving you a look behind the curtain more than maybe some people would have hoped.
Right.
But I think that actually is the definition of an X receiver, right? Is like XYZ, right? Yeah. Is in order. It doesn't mean that the offense is going to run through you entirely.
Right.
But this is the position, like when we design these looks, is look here, look there, then look to Adam, you know, whatever it may be. Second, I think this is exactly why you traded for him and brought him in.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't have a guy. You needed a guy who you thought was talented, that could do a lot of these things, that could be more than just a possession receiver, that could be more than just a deep threat go ball guy, that can do different things. And I think that's exactly why they brought him here, is because they got to go into this season with the idea that they have a receiver that they believe can be that has seen that. And I don't think it's a smokescreen. I'm with you exactly 100% CK. And that doesn't mean that if you bring in other people, they're not important, they're unimportant to the offense, that they aren't going to be but you can't draft I don't think you should draft a wide receiver or any player and just give them And I think they did that with Mingo a hair. That it was all of a sudden it was Terrace Marshall Jr. Look, and did we all want Terrace Marshall Jr. to pan out we talked about him for a million hours on these podcasts, but from the beginning, we were there at training camp in those early days, and it was a Terrace Marshall Jr. was by himself.
Yeah, it was obvious as could possibly be that he wasn't going to be the guy. It was a surprise to every person that was there that he wasn't, like, that Mingo was given the nod immediately.
Ron Rivera would have never done that.
Right.
Ron Rivera would have been like, you can wait till year 3 to be in the starting lineup.
But so also this makes me go back. This makes me go back to think of what Dave Canales said in the press conference that we were talking about earlier, that competition, right? They might have a guy that they view to be the starter at said position, but if they really mean what they're saying, then maybe they do want to bring in a guy at X to be able to provide a little bit of competition, not only to Deontay Johnson, who they traded for, but to Jonathan Mingo as well. I really don't think that any of that precludes us from taking a wide receiver. And I said that this is kind of I said this is kind of a two-parter, but Joe Person just recently put out a brand new mock draft on The Athletic. Go sign up. They put out great content over at The Athletic. And this is relevant for a few different reasons, CK and Tony. So, again, he has us taking Xavier Legette, wide receiver from South Carolina. And this is the guy that's really been the name that's kind of been connected to the Carolina Panthers. His write-up says there were wideouts available. So he also has us doing a hypothetical trade with the Patriots, moving down to picking up some more draft picks. But he has us taking Legette, who basically he even mentions is comped to DK Metcalf in his write-up about him, who was with Dave Canales in Seattle. So he already knows how to use that type of wide receiver prospect.
He likes that player. He likes a Metcalf. He likes a Mike Evans. He likes a guy that his physicality, his speed makes him impossible to cover one-on-one. And if you have to double him. He likes a big guy that's fast enough. I think this is the smoke screen. Continue, Cody.
Smoke screen, or where there's smoke?
I think this is I think this is a smoke screen.
A smoke screen. Okay. Well, allow me to give you some more evidence.
Yeah.
Before we move forward. So this is an interview done by Xavier Legette.
Yeah, this is why I think it's a smokescreen
about the Carolina Panthers.
Usually would be the Carolina Panthers, and my understanding is that's a team that has shown a lot of interest in you, whether that was the top 30 visit or coming to your pro day. What have your interactions been like with the Carolina Panthers?
I've met with the Panthers about 4 or 5 times. And, I mean, the relationship. Oh yeah, man. The relationship that it just keep continuing to grow, and they really hoping that I can make it to that second round. And they keep on telling me, man, that if I'm sitting at 33, they're gonna take me.
Yeah.
So the Panthers are telling him
that
if you're sitting at 33, we're gonna take you. And this has Panther fans either very excited or very pissed off. There's a very large.
It's not true.
Well, listen. So we're going to talk about it if you believe it or not. But Tony, there's such a large contingent of Panther fans that cannot get over this comparison. They think he's another Jonathan Mingo. They really think that he's the same player, same prospect as Jonathan Mingo. So a lot of dudes really don't like him. I think he could be a good player.
Of people love him too.
Do we believe
gushing over him too on the internet like crazy?
But this is another scenario of do we believe what we're hearing
from
these players? Why not?
All right. So has he met with the Panthers?
Yes.
And have they been?
He says 4 or 5 times.
Look, I'm not saying he's lying about meeting with them, right? I'm not saying. My first thing is, what team would tell you they're uninterested in you when they meet with you, right? It was like, I don't know. Maybe if you slip, we'll take you.
Right.
How many stories, though, have we heard about players that said they were going to get taken by somebody and then they watch on TV somebody else getting taken? And then, I think this would, the reason I believe this is and I would say, I don't think the Panthers are doing this on purpose. I think Legette probably said more than the Panthers hoped in some ways. But come on, the Panthers can't be that transparent about a pick.
Right.
Like,
it's really
that
not
would be
them,
foolish for them to say, you know what, we've met with this guy. We're so zeroing in on him from this moment. We're so ahead of the draft. We don't know how that would be malpractice on their part. They might really like him and they might pick him. But if the Panthers are saying that to him and he's saying that aloud and other teams are hearing this, I don't like it. I feel like you should keep it a little closer to the vest if you love a player. If you really love a player, you should meet with them.
So did you feel like maybe it is true, but maybe he fucked up in saying so? Like, do you feel like another team sees that, have no reason to not take him at face value, and maybe if you're you're sitting a little bit,
or are you inflating his value on purpose? Are you? Does that help you? Does that help you in your
information?
Yeah, I mean, I would be with all the information on the internet about mock drafts and this and that, and now we heard what's the guy Jaden Daniels, this quarterback for LSU.
Yeah.
Some people are saying he's trying to tank his draft stock to not go to Washington. Yeah, I think if anything a team comes out and tells you right now should not be looked upon as authentic. And not that I'm saying they're not interested in him. I'm not trying to say they're not interested in him. I'm not saying they won't take him, but I think it would be foolish of them to say that we want this person so much and then you're at 29 or doesn't that make it so you could have maybe had him at 39? And other teams are like, you know what I'm saying? Now you have to invest. And then what happens if you don't pick him at 33? 5 more, and then you pick him at 39. Is he a little upset? I think you should not overpromise and underdeliver. And I think that's all you can do in the draft is overpromise and underdeliver.
just at the same time, he's under no obligation to run interference for a team that hasn't drafted him yet either. And I think that has happened before. I know it has. That teams will tell a player, look, you're the guy that we want. If you're there, we're going to take you. And then sometimes they do.
You don't think they told that to 4 other people, though?
I'm sure that they do. But what I'm saying is I have no reason to not believe Xavier Legette at his word when he says that he's lying. But specifically, I'm talking about all of it, though. So if he says he's had 4 or 5 different meetings with Carolina, and on top of that, they're telling him that they would take him, then where there's
can
smoke,
they do that,
fire.
Cody? How about that? Let me ask you this: is not do you believe it? Can the Panthers? That means they went to his pro day.
Yeah.
That means they talked to him at his pro day. That means they talked to him at the combine. They had
it was a top 30 visit.
Did he play at the Senior Bowl? Maybe.
Yes, he was.
I mean, it's not like it. Yes. It's not like they couldn't be doing that for other players too. Sure. I think the Panthers are probably like, shit. Why'd you go and talk this much? I mean,
that's kind of what I'm saying. I kind of feel like he sort of let go a little too much, but at the same time,
I wish you would have done it on this podcast.
If you're going to tell him something that you don't want other teams to know, then you should tell him that. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So that's on them.
True.
If that is indeed the truth.
I think it's disinformation, bro.
But I'll say right now, if you look at all the different mock drafts, I think especially at this point, he is the receiver that you see mocked to us the most.
All right. We're gonna skip ahead a couple of calls because my mom called him. Oh God.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's the great. She loves Joey too.
I'm reaching out to you to send my sympathy and condolences to your group for the loss of Joey. I want you to know you guys are doing a great job. Persevere. Be strong.
Done.
Mama Joanne.
Oh. No.
That's so sweet.
My kids call her Noni.
Shout out to Mama
Look
Joanne.
at that. She's been in the South for 42 years. And she don't sound like a Southerner still. She sound like you can look at her and be like, oh, she goes to mass every day. Look at that little Italian lady. Let's go to my bastard son. Oh, good segue from my mother to.
Yo, it's White Chocolate Espresso. What's up? Yo, did you see the XL interview?
Oh,
was
perfect timing.
If he falls to 33, they taking him? Come on, man. That man's made to be a Carolina Panther. Like, even though I'm in favor of drafting like a center and a linebacker or a center or a corner, if they get XL, man, I'm gonna be stoked. Hell fucking yeah. Let's go.
Cody, if we got him, should we be as excited as my bastard son is? Like, I mean, would you be?
Because we're drafting another.
No, I'm not asking why he is. I'm asking, should we be excited like to that level?
I mean, yes. Listen, Xavier Legette represents a crazy physical upside. I mean, there's a reason that he's being comped to DK Metcalf, being 6'3", 230 pounds, and the ability to run a 4.3. Again, those are physical gifts that you're either born with. You either have them or you don't. You're born with them or
he runs a 4.3.
Yeah, he ran I believe it was like a 4.38 or a 4.39, and he's a big.
He's big, right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. He's a big, strong guy, and yeah, he is that jump ball kind of receiver. The doubts that people have of him is that he isn't the best separator. So this is what we hear a lot last year, Tony, is that we need receivers that will be able to make separation for Bryce. So that way,
don't be DJ Chark, the worst separator in the history.
And by the way, Jonathan Mingo had those same issues. So you see why a lot of people are like, well, okay, we drafted Jonathan Mingo in the second round last year, and now we're going to draft a guy that kind of has a similar skill set. Now, it makes more sense when you add Deontay Johnson in the mix because of his receiving style.
Right.
But I don't know. A lot of fans seem to think that it's redundant. I don't.
I wouldn't
would
say
be happy with it.
redundant.
I think it would be fine. But
6'3", 227 pounds.
yeah, he's a
Bro,
big
if he
dude,
can,
man.
if he runs a 4.3 and he's that big, that's Mike Evans, bro.
So that's again,
Mike Evans.
Now you start looking at Dave Canales having a history with players like DK Metcalf, like Mike Evans. Tony, I think it's all real. I think right now the Panthers probably do have them a bit of a crush on Xavier.
They might, but this might have made it harder for them.
I agree.
This
Now
might not have helped.
He's getting first round conversations now.
Oh God. Well, actually, he is not Mike Evans. Holy shit!
Oh,
Mike
and by the way,
Evans is
apparently he's not
6'5", bro.
6'3". He's 6'1", apparently.
Well, that's not what just said on the internet.
Well, that's what the PFF literally has him listed at two different heights in their draft guide.
Oh well, I guess here I did look at South Carolina. Did he go to the combine?
Ooh.
And there should be no doubt if he went to the combine how tall this mug is because
he's officially 6'1".
Well, then he is not anywhere close. All right, here I just pulled up NFL. Oh no, not I looked up Xavier Worthy. Hold on. Leggett. His name is Xavier Leggett. It's Xavier, another Xavier. All right, here, let's take another call while I figure out how tall this dude is.
What's good, C3? This is Deez, and I'm trying to get in my cat call.
Deez,
Just 2
what's up,
days
brother?
away from the NFL draft. I know everyone's excited, but I wanted to send out my heartfelt condolences to you, especially Tony. I'm sorry for what you've had to go through with the loss of your friend Joe, co-founder of C3. I really do mean that. I hope the tunnel of grief for you is short, and I hope the light at the end of that tunnel is bright. So you're not lost in the darkness of the grief and can soon find your way into the light and become a stronger, better person for what you've been able to persevere. And I hope that you're proud of the accomplishments that you and Joe have made together and see it going forward as a living testament to what you guys were able to accomplish together and that friendship and that bond and that joy that you shared. So many other people get to share in it now. And it's a beautiful thing that'll last as long as C3 does. So don't be sad. Let's celebrate on another wonderful episode here Tuesday night of the C3 Panthers podcast. So shout out to the mighty C3. I like that. Moving on about the draft, I am excited here in 2 days. I'm excited for the show. I remember last year we were on the show together. We had some really good takes on these picks, and we knew right away how we felt about the draft. You know, Anthony's been shouting it up and down the halls that we don't know what kind of GM Dan Morgan is until he has a good draft. And we know that traditionally the Panthers don't draft well. So I'm excited to see what happens in this first round. I'm excited to see who falls. I got a whole day to process who has failed and who I feel like the Panthers should take the next day, you know, and that's exciting too, because the Friday free for all starts at 7. We're on the clock at 7. Maybe we even start that show a little bit early to get some dialogue going before the pick, because I believe we're right on the clock, right at 7 o'clock. And there's lesser time to make those picks, of course, in the second round. So I'm super excited to digest this and get a better grasp of what we've got in Dan Morgan and Dave Canales and what kind of their vision is for the future of these Carolina Panthers. Enjoyed all the press conferences today. I want to wish all of C3 a happy Tuesday. Love you guys. Take care. Have a great show. And most importantly, keep pounding, C3.
Keep pounding. Deez is the man.
How did we get both D's and D from Sanford?
Dude, I'm telling you, C3 Panthers podcast has the best damn Panther fans.
That's incredible.
Congregating, man.
Look,
we
somebody
love these
just
guys.
said in the chat, D's is a good human.
Oh, dude.
And I know
great.
that for sure. Well, thank you, A, for the kind words. B, I'm really, I won't say proud of myself. It's like I have had a lot of difficulty talking about it. My mom will, and really, I'm not usually that person. But it has hit hard. But I am very happy of what we again. I'm glad I halftime hung out with Joey because the second half of his life is going to be there. And also here, this is, and I don't know how much. I mean, I want to believe in all these things. I think, or here's a wild part is like I said earlier, NC State playing the ECU Pirates at home today. One of my earliest memories was going to a baseball game, not an NC State game, but this football NC State game. It's another crazy memory with Joey. But I shared that memory earlier on. But when we were roommates, again, college, I was in college. He was on disability. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have no money. Joey taught me how to make beans and rice. That's we live on beans and rice and hot sauce. But our splurge was to get a London broil, which is actually a kind of it's a lean cut of beef. And it's really hard to cook actually and we probably ruined not a million, but we ruined a few. But that would be like we would get this $6 London broil and we would split it between us or, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. So, and this was not planned, Cody. Yesterday, I went and did some grocery shopping and I buy what's on sale and then I make my meals based on that. So it's like I look at the meat, I go to the meat section and I go, all right, what's on sale? And so London broil.
You're a recipe second guy. You get the ingredients. Get the ingredients, then figure out what to make.
Oh, I could go on Chopped. Totally. I could go on Chopped Challenge. I can cook. Skirt steak used to be cheap. It is not anymore out. But London broil, and I didn't even think about this till today, bro. London broil was on sale yesterday. I bought one. So today I was trying to prepare, think about some of the things I wanted to say. I was like, I got to go to this game and drink this game, which kind of felt sticky, but I was like, I'm going to go do it. I cooked a London broil tonight. It wasn't planned yesterday. And I said, holy crap. I got this London broil. This is what Joe and I used to mess with. So thank you so much for those kind words. Xavier Legette is only 6'1". Makes him less interesting to me.
And not because he's not going to be good at 6'1". White Chocolate said his comp is AJ Brown. That's the same comp people gave to Jonathan Mingo. So
yeah,
I know they're
that's
different.
What I said. I mean, and I wasn't even trying to come.
No, I know you
look at him. No, and that's the type of player I see. He did have and somebody asked in the chat what his vertical was. His vertical was 40 inches. He had a good RAS score. His RAS score was 9.92. So I don't know how to interpret this entirely, what that means. He had a big broad jump. He had a good vertical. He's fast. I mean, I don't have a problem with the guy. Like, I have no problem, but I just don't know. If the Panthers are that locked into a player this early, I do have a problem with their draft process.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You said this early, but we're only 2 days out.
But you haven't even seen day one unfold. What I'm saying is you got some ideas of like some players that you think might be in the running, but there could be the real C3 AP asked this earlier. He said, you see a non-quarterback going number one. And a year, like number one overall, a year ago, it would not have been ridiculous to say that Marvin Harrison Jr. could be number one pick. Right now, the mocks have like 6 quarterbacks going in the top 15. We don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I've ever seen a draft, honestly, where no defensive player is out there going, oh, they could be a top fiver. You know, like think of what the Washington Commanders did with Ron Rivera. They did not draft Justin Herbert. They had the number 2 pick. They went with Chase Young. You know, like they wussed out. I don't know if there's a defensive player that I've heard in any draft that's like, hey, this guy is top 5 worthy. Like, he might not get top 5. I haven't heard anybody pounding the table for a difference maker defensive player. And that's kind of weird to me.
You mean in the top 5?
Yeah. Like, could supersede anybody. Like, is like nobody is.
It's because of the quarterbacks. I think that's a main aspect to it. And then now there's all these talks about trade downs that could happen, that the Patriots could trade down, the Arizona could trade down, teams that are looking to trade up like Minnesota and Las Vegas. Tony, if you look at it through my eyes, it's a very fun time of year because you're literally watching the future of the NFL unfold. Like,
you're actually not. You're looking at nothing yet. You are speculating. You haven't seen anything. Yeah,
but Tony, you know that every year, fine, no one knows who's going to be good, but every year there are superstars that go to teams in the first round. And, you know, the fact that we're like, this is a brand new day, man. There is going to be brand new quarterbacks. I feel like the entire NFC is going to reload on the quarterback position this year, which is good because I think traditionally the past few years, the AFC has been the quarterback dominant conference.
Oh, yeah, they've had it for a minute.
Yeah. So, you know, I think now you're starting to see the injection of quarterback talent into the NFC. And also, it just depends on the year. Like last year, there was Will Anderson Jr. out of Alabama that was viewed to be one of the best players in the entire draft, who went 3rd overall.
There's usually a defensive player, though. Even if you told us that this was going to be a quarterback thirsty draft, there usually is somebody saying, look, is this person might not be top 5 because of the way the draft unfolds, but they should be. And I haven't heard about a defensive player. I haven't heard about an offensive lineman. I'm not telling a team not to pick the quarterback. What I'm saying is where are these defensive studs that have made other teams hesitate in the past? And Tim Estes says Marvin Harrison Jr. should be number 1 overall. Bears will regret drafting Caleb Williams. I don't know if I want to go. I don't know what's going to happen with Caleb Williams. And I don't think you're going to pick him, Marvin Harrison, number 1 if you're a quarterback, if you're a team that needs a quarterback. But to me, I've seen a couple of, you mentioned the Cardinals trading down, right? Why would the Cardinals not pick Marvin Harrison Jr. right there? What are they, like 4 or something like that? Like, why? That's
Tony, just because of how valuable. Well, okay, Tony, let's put it this way. Look
they have a quarterback. They don't have anybody else.
Tony, look at the position that Chicago is in right now. Trade down a couple picks. You get a first rounder next year.
Arizona
they ends up being the 1st overall pick. You know, like a lot of these teams. So, you know, right now there's like a 3-way tie between how people have Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and JJ McCarthy ranked. And if you consider that 2 and 3 is probably going to be some combination of Daniels and then May, well, that number 4, if you're somebody that's desperate to go get JJ McCarthy, well, now if you're Arizona, you would consider going back a couple of spots.
Stupid. The Chargers are next.
A lot of
the Chargers, you're going to give the Chargers him. Why? And don't they have 2?
Chargers
picks?
might trade down too. That's another team that might trade down.
Arizona had. Where was that last year? They had 2 picks.
And Steve Smith. So again, we all kind of debate how good Steve Smith is at his, you know,
he's the greatest. Man. Come on this podcast, I'll tell you the greatest ever.
his predictions about wide receivers have been kind of up and down, but I know that he had Malik Neighbors, the wide receiver out of LSU, as his
Over?
over Marvin Harrison Jr.
Stop. That's silly. I don't think if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, I'm picking Marvin Harrison Jr. without hesitation. Like, I mean, I don't see any reason. You don't have a pick. What are you going to trade back and hopefully get the second? Why? Fuck that. Like, let's
And they
go.
lost DeAndre Hopkins. They need a wide receiver. So, yeah.
All right, let's take the next call.
Hey, Tony, C3 family. Heavy heart for sure. I was going to say, I'm so sorry for your loss, Tony, but
Thank you.
Any friend or family of C3 Nation is friend or family of mine. And this sucks. We'll get through it together.
But that warms my heart.
Never obviously knew Joe, but Joe sounds like the kind of guy that took our national orator's words by heart. Mr. Mike Tyson. Everybody's got a plan until they got punched in the face. And it sounds like he lived his best life despite getting punched in the face. So sorry about that. I just want to let you guys know, been a fan, been punched in the face myself, got fired from my job after like 15 years going through a divorce, and I found C3.
Oh, sorry.
Probably a little bit like D out in Sanford, found a family. So we'll get through this together. Keep pounding, guys.
I can't tell you how much
man.
that,
Those are the messages I love, Tony, when people tell us, that they were going through some hard times and C3 got them through those times. Like that makes it where even when we don't on those
help.
nights.
Like, how about that? Is not got through, but just was part of helped. You know what I'm saying?
Help them. Yeah. And the fact that we're able to provide that for people, even on those nights where it's hard to come on and talk about the same old news over and over, dude, it makes us feel great when we know that it has that type of impact on people. I know it does me, man, for sure.
Well, I want to give a very honest thank you to that call. That means a lot to me personally that that you're our friendships, even though we haven't met in person. I mean, I hadn't even met Greg, and we've been doing the podcast for like 4 years. And so that is very heartwarming to me that you feel a connection with us and our community. It really is. I thank you for the kind comments about Joey. I hope that you guys can see that, it's not fraudulent. He really was a very important person to me. But the last thing I want to mention about that comment, about that call, that I super appreciate, is that we're all getting punched in the face. And so many times we just go on out into the world and act like it's not happening. And what I mean by that is a lot of our shit is fucked up in the background. And we're going through things and we're like, and we're trying to put on a good face. So how about this, brother? I'm walking the same path as you. And some of those things you said in that call, and not that we're going to be able to all of a sudden make everything better together, but it's nice to know this is that people care enough to remember your name, to hang out, to talk. And again, the fact that you care enough to listen to this overly long podcast, that's the true test of friendship. I'll be like, bro, when somebody be like, what'd you say this in hour 3? I'm like, man, I love you. Like you listen to hour 3. All right. Let's get one more call in and we're bringing CK back in.
C3 Paisans. How you boys doing, huh?
My brother.
Yeah, a little different call for me tonight. I know the draft's coming up. And you boys know I don't really pay much attention to that shit.
You.
I kind of leave that shit up to you guys. But just want to, say my condolences to Joe Riolano and his family, and you, Tony.
Thank you.
It's a tough thing. going through that shit, you know, losing a brother. But I just want to put you guys over. I want to thank you guys. You know, you two were the originals. You started this show, and you guys made something. You know, if it wasn't for you guys, you know, us fucking guys wouldn't be here every Tuesday night, Friday night, now in the spaces with Pickle and Deez and, you know, Anthony and everybody else. You know what I'm saying? You know, you guys did something special for a lot of people. You know, to come together and talk about this team, no matter how fucking bad they've been. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Can't say anything
That's
nicer.
kind
to
of
me, man.
about it. You know, just want to say my condolences. Never met Joe. Interacted a little bit here and there in the chat and shit like that. But, you know, he seemed like a beautiful man. Beautiful man. Tony Dunn, you're a beautiful man as well.
Thank you.
You know, I just want to thank you guys again to, you know, for giving us this platform to come together, you know. We're like one big La Familia scattered throughout the fucking world.
It's
You know,
true.
we got some bitches over there in England and shit. You know, Canada, Alaska. That's, you know,
We
shit
got,
like
I
that.
got a friend. One
Florida.
guy emails me from
Anyway,
Italy.
boys, enjoying the show so far, and guess I'll talk to you guys later.
How
All right?
about that?
I gotta go.
Tough ass Paisan Muscles marinara. Look, we see a soft, loving side of that man. Thank you. No,
he's a
I
big
almost feel
soft.
like the podcast is about to pivot from a Panthers podcast to be like, we're family and we just yell about the Panthers in the back.
Dude, we're just a mental health podcast. That's all we are, dude. If you're having problems, you've got a friend in us, dude. How about that?
You got a friend in need, indeed.
But dude, if you're a Panther fan, you're used to everybody being depressed anyway. So, shit, you know, this is the place for you, man. Come cheer up at the C3 Mental Health Podcast.
If you heard those calls, everyone, and if you're listening to this podcast right now, then you did hear those calls. Those were, and this is what I love about it, is those were real. They were real. They were authentic. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't somebody just sending me a message saying, and look, I'm Catholic, I'm all like, but like, I hate if I ever send you a text that says I'm praying for you, I literally prayed for you. Like, I won't send that text if I haven't said the prayer yet, because I feel like we too casually throw around these words.
Right.
But the calls that I heard tonight, those are real, man. These people care about us, care about me. Thank you so much for caring about me. And again, I didn't know. I mean, I knew I was going to be hurt when this happened.
Right.
I mean, there was a long runway too. It wasn't like this just happened overnight. But it did. It hit hard. I'm just being honest with that, and it usually doesn't. I'm usually the jerk. So to me, it was really important. I mean, it's wonderful. How about that? I mean, the nicest things that I've heard in the last 2 years, other than from my mother, have come from people that are on this podcast or listen to the podcast. How great is that? All right. Those are all the calls, brother. Do we have anything else to talk about? It's 11:30. I mean, we could talk till 2:00 in the morning. We have a lot of drafts still to come.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No, there's one last thing, and this would be the final thing that we really have for the whole show. One of the more important things too. During the press conference, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, when Dave and Dan were both up there on the podium. So this is from Panthers Breakdown on Twitter. A month after Dave Canales indicated that the owners' meetings, the Panthers would keep 3 quarterbacks. We've heard some buzz that Canales and general manager Dan Morgan could take one during the draft.
Oh, stop.
Joe Person mentions quarterbacks Tennessee's Joe Milton and Kentucky's Devin Leary for day 3 of the NFL draft. Now, I know you don't know who Joe Milton is because you don't give a damn. But big, 6'4", 240-pound quarterback, cannon for an arm. A lot of people think that the Panthers could draft a quarterback.
Are they?
Will this happen?
Is this Brock Purdy 2.0? Is that kind of what you're
I
hoping
don't
for? Is
know.
like,
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Could you imagine
okay.
we draft this dude? He has a cannon for an arm, and then before
Bryce
the
gets
midway of the
hurt.
season,
He
yeah, we're
comes in,
pounding the table for this dude.
and then now you're trading. Oh God,
Oh,
how
dude.
amazing would that be? All right. Do you have, for our fans? There's someone in the chat. Can we run a mock draft real quick?
Yeah, what
Can
do you
we
want
just
to use?
simulate it? We don't do it.
We want to use PFL. Let's do Pro Football Talk.
Can we just simulate it so we don't have to make the picks? We just watch it.
Just watch what it does. Yeah.
Yeah. Clutch Fire 5.0.
Oh, what that? That's who wants to do that?
Well, we can make the Panthers pick, but we ain't making
that's
any
what I'm
other
saying.
picks. But I'd like to kind of look at how they simulate the first round. That's what I'm more interested in. Is what is, like CK said, when we turn on the TV on Friday, how are we, like, the Panthers are going to at least they'll have 24 hours or almost, CK, right, to readjust.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
a
they'll
good
have
thing for them.
very close to 24 hours. And that's in that 24 hours, there can be any movement. You could see us move back. So, I mean, there's still a possibility of things like a trade taking place in the middle of the day on Friday. So, I mean, there's some things that could certainly happen.
So you want to just do 2 rounds?
Yeah, and then we'll just go up to 40. Like, we'll only care about like through 40.
All right.
I wanted to tell you guys this is while he's setting this up.
So it's going right now.
Oh, it is. I found this.
Go ahead.
I found this box of cards in my attic. I don't know where it came from. It was actually, it was probably some, I don't know. So I was looking through some of it. It's all like people that like Sean May, Raymond Felton. Look at this. This is kind of fun. This Cam Newton card.
Damn.
Oh, Joe would have loved this. It says it's got some sort of code. I don't know about these new cards. I'm trying to think of it. Look at these. Some Ryan sent. Maybe a friend gave me these. Mark Grace. I love these guys. Cam Newton. Let's see. Unless I went through my cards and found. I don't collect cards anymore. Never haven't since I was like 12.
So
look at this. Oh, this was a good one. It's not a good card. It's probably not worth anything, but I love it. Randy Moss with the Patriots.
Oh, shit.
Oh, John Beeson. Woo. Steve Smith. Yeah, I wonder what year this card was from. Oh, man. Where did I get? Who gave me this? I wish I would know. My boy, Pep. Dave. David. All right. I just want to show you guys that. Anyway. All right. So what we got?
Dude, look at this troll. White chocolate with the $5 says 29 seasons of us not drafting a Clemson player. Keep tradition alive. Keep pounding. I pray so bad that our first. No, I pray that not only we get Nate Wiggins as our first pick, but we also get Will Shipley as a running back. Draft him. He's the next Christian McCaffrey, baby. Let's go.
All right, let's look at how the first round panned out.
All right, so check this out. The same hypothetical trade that Joe Person did in his athletic mock draft, the Patriots are giving us the same offer. So we go.
They want a quarterback there. Then.
Well, we go from 33 to 34 and pick up 103 in the process.
I'd take that.
Or we can go to 51. Nah, screw that. All right, so y'all want to take that? You want to go back a little bit?
No, I'll go back to 34. I won't go back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll take that.
All right. All right. Do you want to go back to 47?
No. Let's just start it there. Almost if we could redo it with that 33 and not take it and then see what it
All
would
right.
be like.
So let's sort of look at who has gone so far. Xavier Worthy off the board. Nate Wiggins off the board. So not a whole lot of wide receiver talent off the board yet. So, all right, let's look at who is on the board right now at this point for the Panthers. So if we're just looking at wide receiver, Adonai Mitchell is available. Ladd McConkey is available. Jalen Polk, Xavier Legette, Troy Franklin. See, it's this type of scenario, Tony, that would have people saying, well, if there's a bunch of different receivers that are still there, what centers are available? Graham Barton from Duke is a big-time name that people have been interested in. Zach Frazier from West Virginia. Another name to remember, Cedric Van Pran out of Georgia is another name that's been very highly touted to be a second-round pick, maybe.
Flip the defense, bro.
Let's look at corner. TJ Tampa, Max
Is
Melton.
the white guy there?
No, and now there's some talk that he might be a state. So look, the white dude you're talking about, he's already off the board. He's already off the board.
Okay.
Cooper DeJean, they have him listed as safety now.
That's racist.
I know, man. These white
That's
boys
racist.
can't play cornerback, man.
It's all right. We can't ever worry about racism.
So Grant. So this is how the board has sort of fallen.
Go back to defense and look at that linebacker. Is that linebacker here?
Yes, Peyton Wilson is available.
They got him.
Now look, this guy, Adrian Cooper. We've also met with him, and he is the higher rated of the two linebackers. Although he's more of an outside linebacker type.
236, maybe. Oh no, that's not terrible.
So look, let's make 2 on here, and then
I want to pick that Peyton Wilson guy. I want to say screw everybody. Sorry, Panther fans, I love you, but we're too locked into this idea of a wide receiver. Now, I do feel like everybody loves this Adonai Mitchell guy, like as being the truth. But then you've heard this other thing, like he didn't try hard or something. Have you heard these other talks? As like he's not coachable or
characters.
He's got diabetes now.
This center, Graham Barton out of Duke, 6'5", 313 pounds, has a 9.99 RAS score. So that means his athletic profile is off the fucking charts.
Do you think he's there at that pick at 39?
I think that would be his range. Yeah, I do.
So the question is who can we get away with? Like you're trying to get somebody. Who would you pick?
All right, so here's what I would do, because there's not a lot of corner talent like Wiggins and all the guys that you want are off the board. I draft Graham Barton, and then whatever the best receiver.
Let's see how that goes. Can you back it up and then we redo it? If you do what I would do.
In a minute, I'm gonna check out PFF because I agree with Clutch Fire. I don't think they're very updated on their rankings. So if we're just doing 2 rounds, we can see what PFF would say. But now we're back at pick 39.
So
all of those receivers are still on the board.
Yes. Now go back go to linebacker, see if he's still there.
Yes, Peyton Wilson and Adrian Cooper are both still there.
This hurts.
Now, all right, so the Panthers, we picked next at 65. They have Wilson rated as 62, so maybe he
all right,
could
so
be
what
there.
if we pick can you change this to a 3-round now?
Not now.
Oh damn it! All right, so what if we picked a?
I can do another. I can do another.
I'm just saying, if we were doing this exact draft right here, and we picked Adonai Mitchell here,
who by
I
the way
don't
is
care about
falling
any
down,
of this shit because it's not
he's
working.
falling down draft boards for
The diabetes.
and some medicals, and they I think they're saying some off the field bullshit too.
Well, smoke, a lot. But imagine if you picked him there and you could get Peyton Wilson, or what if you picked What I want is Peyton Wilson. Can we pick Adonai Mitchell here, and then will it tell us who's left after the second round? Like, is he still there?
We would have to just see who it is.
You said our next pick is what?
65, but we won't do it on this one.
All right, who would you pick?
Right here.
We should go Lad then. You know what? If you got questions about his diabetes, if you got questions about this and that, do you think Adonai Mitchell is going to be the number one receiver in 3 years? Is he going to be the next Justin Jefferson?
I would not be mad, but I feel like a lot of Panther fans are going to feel like he's another Adam Thielen, which I think he's a much better athlete, Lad McConkey.
Oh no,
but I'm okay with it. I'm fine. But I think Xavier.
All right, let's get Leggett because my bastard son.
And then we'll do one on PFF and
Just
see what there's.
Let's see if Homeboy goes. If Peyton Wilson goes. Like watch. Oh,
yeah, he went to Los Angeles.
52.
He went to the Rams.
See, that's what I'm worried about. But then you miss both of those wide receivers. And then the question is who's left in the third. All right. Try it one more time.
I'm going to do we're going to do PFF this time. All right. Un momento, por favor. Oh, wrong. No, this is it. All right, so this is PFF. How many rounds you want to do?
Let's just do 3 so we can see what that 60 would be.
Right,
not because
speed,
I really.
What speed? Let's do fast.
Yeah, man, I'm not really. I mean, I just want to. I will talk about
public or PFF's board.
I don't know. I don't know the difference.
Public is like an amalgamation of like how other people have these players ranked versus how PFF has them ranked. I'd say let's go in the middle.
All right, yeah, put all of those at 50. 50%.
Okay, so
a little bit low.
Yeah, right there. Okay, well,
a little hair lower there.
Yeah,
I don't know what randomness means.
No, I say let's not do randomness. Let's try and keep it more like kind of how we think the draft is going to play out. All right, so let's check it out.
Which I don't think it will.
Do y'all want to do? So I can change.
I just want to see what the first round looks like. Not who goes, but like what are the trends?
All right,
start it up. Yeah, start it up.
Whoa, they went fast.
Yeah, that was super fast. All right, scroll back up and I'll read them off. See, I already like this. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Malik Neighbors, who's that wide receiver? Oh, that's the guy.
That's
they got him going ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. This is fraudulent right away. Come on. How about this? Imagine a draft where and this actually might be how it goes because some dumbass shit that the NFL draft becomes.
No, there's no way.
One quarterback, 2 quarterbacks in the top. Where's the second one? Top 11. Look, the third quarterback's not picked till 11 in this draft. Restart this. This is. You really think that's going to happen?
No, not really.
Maybe the Patriots pass on a quarterback, but how would they pass on Jaden Daniels?
Let's adjust settings.
What do we need to change? Change public. Yep, and
more towards
turn
public.
that down. Turn down draft
value.
Yeah, turn it all down. And maybe speed too. No, we can't go back. Yep. Oh, you had it on turbo.
No, I didn't. I had it on fast.
Oh, okay. All right, let's see it.
You want to do it right here?
That's fine. I don't really care about that. I'm like,
all right, let's start it up. Again, they got Marvin Harrison Jr. going to the Patriots. There's zero chance the Patriots are taking a wide receiver.
I mean, a quarterback, you mean?
Yeah, a quarterback.
Well, they say that.
Yeah, but they're taking off.
All right, let me read these off. Scroll back up just so we can.
San Francisco. picked Lad McConkey. Could you imagine him as CMC?
It would be awesome. Oh, that'd be incredible. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors. I actually could see that happening. Quentin Mitchell. This isn't terrible. Jaden Daniels, 6 to the Giants. That would be cool. Oh, man, I could see that. I don't
the
know.
Giants would love Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. Let's see. Who the hell did the Vikings get a edge rusher?
All the way down.
JJ McCarthy goes to the Broncos at 12.
Cooper DeJean goes to Indy.
Brock Bowers, top 10. He's in number 9.
Adonai Mitchell, 22. Nate Wiggins, 25. Kool-Aid, 27. Jackson Powers Johnson.
Poor guy's name is Kool-Aid.
The center, Lad McConkey and Troy Franklin are both off of the board.
All right. So what is round 2 then?
Now, hold on, let's see what wide receivers are available.
Okay.
Roman Wilson. So all the guys that we've sort of been discussing.
So there, then he's gonna go up and say, "I met with them 5 times. I told you, motherfuckers."
Right.
Okay. Who is all right? Say you pick him there.
Who? Leggett?
Yeah. Say you pick him there. Just go ahead and pick him. And then let's see where Peyton. I want to see where we get the Peyton Wilson dude, or if we can. I like the other simulator better, by the way. Just in the work.
Peyton Wilson's already gone.
Where'd he go?
Peyton Wilson.
He had to have gone after our first pick because I think he was there.
Yeah, I went to
wow. See, this is why I don't like that idea. I feel like you pick Peyton Wilson, you get Leggett at 39.
Hey, you were the one that said draft again. I
know because that's what they say.
Yeah, I don't think.
And by the way, we've been doing this every Friday, and getting everybody to agree on who we're picking has been interesting. But Adrian Cooper, most people have this dude rated higher than Peyton Wilson.
No way. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess the injury history. All right.
I mean,
so what would you do here? If this was you, what would you do? I mean, you got to look corner.
Well, let's
look wide receiver. Oh no, because you just took Leggett. See if that center's there.
Yeah. So Zach Frazier is there. Zach Frazier would be the guy I'd pick right here.
Okay.
Do it.
See, I feel like. Can you revert this back real quick at when we're done and just hit back and let's pick?
No, it doesn't let you do that. You have
we
to
can't
start
just pick Wilson instead.
Ooh, Edger and Cooper's still there at 65.
Yeah, at this point, if that's how it lands,
you got to go with that.
That would be dope.
But what?
I'm just kind of saying, what would happen if we did that same exact mock, right? But you pick Peyton Wilson at 33. Who would be there at 39?
Would you prefer Kyrie Jackson, who is a long corner, 6'3", is a press man corner, 200 pounds, is tall, is fluid, is an explosive athlete. This is
that
probably
linebacker that badass
draft. Huh?
Okay. Well, here, let's not get too deep.
Can we talk about his age being almost 25 though, coming out of college?
Who, Jackson?
Yeah, Kyrie Jackson.
Yeah,
we can talk about that. CK, I think we're about to see more of that coming into the NFL,
right?
And I actually think it'll make the NFL better in a way.
A little more mature coming out.
Well, yeah, man, you're gonna get linemen or people like I think NIL is gonna help people not feel like they have to rush out just
NFL,
to get a paycheck. You know what I'm saying? So I think right now that's probably concerning. In 3 years from now, CK, I don't know if a 25-year-old draft pick, we might be drafting people one time and done,
right?
And let somebody else get the contract.
So if Adrian Cooper is there, I'm just saying, I know we've met with him, but I think there's no way that we're not drafting him. if this is how the board fell.
Right.
However, I think Kyrie Jackson is probably the safer pick, just because he's that corner position that we need right now. It's a bigger need on the roster. But this is the best. If you're going best player available, then you're going Adrian Cooper.
I mean, you were thinking about picking him at 39.
Yeah, and think of Frankie Louvu. I mean, literally 6'3", 230 is about the same measurables, and he would be asked to do what Louvu did. He's a downhill type of linebacker. He's not that interior linebacker guy that we've basically kind of been in need of, but you're not going to be hurting for.
Can you go back and run this same exact under the same circumstances, but instead of us picking?
Yeah, so let me just finish this draft and then I'll restart it. So we'll draft Adrian Cooper, and this will be this one.
I wonder if the NFL loves or hates this.
Loves or hates.
I mean, the more we talk about the draft, the better, more money they make.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And
But
again,
also, does this just
all right? You want to do a new one? Let's do a new one.
Under the same exact settings, and I just want us to pick Peyton Wilson at 33 instead of the wide receiver.
You want to just do fast? Let's do fast.
Yeah, we don't need to.
Yeah. I just want to, instead of picking Leggett there.
Ooh, Patriots take Drake. Hold on, that was weird. It looked like the Patriots took Drake May, so I'm curious what the Commanders did. Jaden Daniels.
This is how I see it actually happen.
Out of all of them, this is the one that is the
Makes
most
the most sense.
That to me points to how it could actually be. Although I still think that the Chargers and the Cardinals.
Can we talk about the dumb pick that they have the Falcons making?
Bowers.
Please, I love the Falcons being dumb.
They selected a tight end and they still have.
They got JJ McCarthy going to New Orleans. Fuck that.
I think JJ McCarthy is going to be good. I do think that. I'm not certain of it. All right, so here is what I'm saying is what do we got here?
So Troy Franklin, Tyler Newman, Zach Frazier, Mike Sandstrom.
What's the trade?
They have Sandstrom ranked high.
What's the trade?
The trade is Arizona Cardinals.
We get one of their round ones. Is that what this is saying? I'm confused on how.
See, I don't the other simulator better.
I don't love PF. Yeah, the 35. They're getting
So we move back to 35. No, they give us the.
This seems to have I don't know if all these picks are just showing what you have available.
Yeah,
or
like
what
what's
they
the
have available.
actual trade?
I'm not sure. Dude, I'm not sure. I'm not in love with PFFs.
Oh, is this just off like saying select a team to trade?
Oh,
with?
you could trade with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it says teams interested in pick 33, and
so like you can make them an offer here. All right, well let's go back here. Go back and just pick Peyton Wilson instead of the wide receiver.
Where's the line?
Is he
He's
already
gone already?
He
He
went
went to the Bills.
28. He went 28 to Buffalo.
Oh shit!
That's not a surprise. Sean McDermott.
Wow.
Sorry, Don.
All right, we got a super chat here. Justin Long asked, "Do you think Shaq is on the team after minicamp?" He says, "I don't."
I do. I just don't know that we have a viable option to replace him right now.
I agree. It's almost and somebody who has went from a Shaq lover to a Shaq hater to a Shaq appreciator. Is that like you actually? We almost just need the body at this point. Panther Gal says this. What time are you guys getting on Thursday and Friday? So the draft, I believe, does it start at 8 or 8:30?
7, I think, on Thursday.
No way. That's not when they're making picks. No way.
That would be
the earliest.
The picking probably starts at 8, And I think the build up starts at 7, I believe.
So I think we're going to get up here about 7:30.
Yep, 7:30.
If we were last year, we would have gotten up here earlier because we had a first round pick. So there's no need to over pregame for a first round that we're going to be uninvolved
it
with
was
for a lot.
It's 8, yeah.
And on
Friday is the
Friday,
big night for us. Thursday, we're just going to be chilling, man, drinking beers and watching the.
I think
the draft.
Friday we have to be up here at least 45 minutes to an hour before it happens.
I think you have to do that Friday, yeah.
So 6:00 on Friday is what we're shooting for because I think it starts at 7.
Because you're going to have to go through
We have to talk about what happened in the first round.
Yeah, and you got to look at a comprehensive list of what you have left.
And by that point, with us being on the clock at 33, like there's a chance that a trade could happen before the draft starts, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right. So what will we do? Let's finish this stupid ass mock out. Now I'm mad. I'm so mad we don't even get. The whole point was to get Peyton Wilson here and see what would happen.
You want to draft Troy?
I mean, I think that's a logical.
Is he good?
Let's do Troy Franklin. Yeah, he's a good wide receiver talent. And Zach Frazier.
Look at
Zach
the
Frazier's on the board.
Oh, there's your Sanders skill.
Sanders still.
He's too small.
I'd prefer Zach Frazier.
All right, let's go with that. And then let's just see what we're left with. He said you can just restart. I do want to see if we could pick Peyton Wilson. And then we got to do the ice up picks. It's 12. We could have been done an hour ago.
In a draft. All right, let's see what happens.
Peyton Wilson.
All right, take him. All right, so this is what I just want to see is who is left at wide receiver.
Peyton Wilson.
Now go to wide receiver and see who we can get.
Roman Wilson.
Still there.
You can get Leggett there.
That's
so you take it.
I would.
I
kind of get the feeling that he would be available at our next pick. To be honest,
try that. How about that? Pick somebody. Pick your center here. Fuck it all up and pick the center or a corner and make all the Panthers Twitter want to kill themselves. Imagine if this is what happened. They would go bananas. Now hit check wide receiver and see who's left.
I'm pretty sure he's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, Jermaine Burton, Devontae Walker, Johnny Wilson, Jenny.
Yeah, so we're only gonna get 2 of those players that.
So yeah, you're gonna get. You're hoping to get 2 blue chip players around that point.
All right,
and you just got to really
a wide receiver or a linebacker in some combination. I'm taking probably the center or the wide receiver first, and then if Peyton Wilson is available at 39, then that's when I would pick him up.
All right. Well, we'll find this out for real on Thursday and Friday and Saturday of next week. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, the longest running Panthers podcast. Literally, we start at 9. It's 12:06, and we still have a segment to go. Thank you for listening tonight. Despite, well, first, there's no rules on my podcast or our podcast. You know what I'm saying? But like, we can do whatever we want. But thank you for being emotionally available to me, and thank you to these 2 brothers I got on the panel. And thank you to all the brothers and sisters I have in the chat. We got one last segment, though, to rock out. It's the Ice Up pick. It's our homage to Steve Smith. Cody, can we ice some fools up?
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's the longest running segment on the longest running Panthers podcast. That's right. We've been doing the Ice Up segment since like 2014 or something. It's where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. Anyone's fair game. Cody, you got anything to surprise me with a good one tonight? Oh, you're on mute. You're out laughing and you're on mute.
No, I don't have a
You don't got any good ones?
Go
Okay.
for it. Go.
All
Give
right,
me a second.
All right. All right. I got not a couple of like crazy ones. CK, you got something?
I do,
Open
but
it up.
I'm gonna. I mean, I can. It's not a. Mine's pretty good, and I'm sure if you guys have multiple, this will be something that may be on your radar here.
No, get in there. Get in there. You never have multiple. You're ready. We're ready.
I just have the one. I just making sure if you guys have multiple, you might have one of these. But this is a headline that came across my screen the other day, and I had to just take a minute to double check if this was real because there was no way in my mind that this was actually happening. So, Brazilian woman arrested after she's taken a corpse in to sign a bank loan.
Oh, I did see that.
This can't be.
She is a 1,000% real. She poses for a picture
with the corpse.
Yes, this
is like Lars and the Real Girl, which I have never seen, but I want to see, and it's impossible to get. Go ahead.
This is like a Weekend of Bernie's.
Yeah,
but she's trying to get like a 10th, or I guess right here it says $3,200 loan, and it's she obviously has gotten arrested for fraud or attempted fraud. She knew that he was
being a dummy,
and he had been dead for at least 2 hours. So this dude literally died, and she's like, "All right, let's go ahead and take him to the."
Do you agree to this loan?
Yeah, that's kind of. She was like, "Oh, he's just tired. I can sign it for him." It was. It's funny. I don't even care. That was hysterical. So.
All right, ice up to putting people instead of putting them on ice, trying to take a loan out on them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I got two.
Okay, well, do one, and then I'll do one. Mine are short too. One's about
mine are pretty short too. Dude, if you see something come out of the water that looks like it comes from the fucking Cretaceous period, maybe leave it alone.
How bad was it? He lost a finger.
Nah, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
But dude, what is that thing? Look at the.
But why would you even touch it, you dummies?
Why is
I wish you would have lost a finger.
Thin? What the hell is that?
And yes, is it mute? Is a mutant?
I don't know. What is that thing, dude? Look at its mouth.
It is like a armadillo fucked a crocodile with a.
Bang.
Shit.
Oh, you know that hurts so bad, dude.
Panther guy says an alligator.
That's an alligator.
Not grown up yet, I guess. All right, ice up, and he's gonna need some ice.
All right, go ahead.
You want the kind of funny one first, or the one about me? You guys choose.
Do the one about you anyway.
Okay. All right. The one about me has to do with sports gambling. And so I realized on Saturday night, I was hanging out here with like buddy. We're just chilling, drinking beer, just hanging out. And I was like, is there a fight on? Because we were watching hockey, what I'm saying? We're just watching sports and chilling. And I was like, is there a fight on? And it was like Canelo. And I was like, I got to check these pay-per-view channels that I get. CK, you know what's up with that. So all of a sudden, the fucking Ryan Garcia fight is coming up. And I'm like, how the fuck did I not know this? How did I not know? Given the fact I watched the pregame, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking shit. Ryan Garcia going, Jesus, I love Jesus. Jesus Christ, I love Jesus Christ. I love Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, Jesus. He said it like 32 times. And then 12 minutes later, he said, I'm going to fuck you in the mouth. That's what he said to Haney or whatever. So I got a little money on one of these apps. Bet365 is what I would suggest using the promo code in the show description. And I was looking at I was like, I want to bet on this fight. And I was looking at the odds. The odds were so in favor of Haney. There was no reason to bet on Haney. Like if you would have bet $100, you would have won like $60. It's like a too big of a risk. Like you don't bet minus money. You should. I don't anyway. I want to bet plus money where I win more. And I'm looking at him like, man, Garcia's a fucking nut job, bro. He's talking about pedophiles. He's talking about aliens over the last 6 months. And then his pregame fight joint was insane, bro. If you saw his, like, the talk they give him right before the fight, like when he's in the locker room, they said, what do you want to do? He said, I want to assassinate him. And I was like, damn. All right. He said, I want to take his head. He said, I'm willing to die in this fight. I was like, shit. Ryan Garcia is fucked up as AB. So I still wasn't going to bet on Ryan Garcia to win or anything like that. So I was like trying to find prop bets that would be cool. And this dumbass is this guy, and this dumbass as being Tony Dunn was hanging out. We're drinking beer. We're getting, we're having, we're having party. We're feeling, and I'm like, oh shit. I looked at the round bets, like by round, and it said Haney. It said Ryan Garcia to win, blah blah blah. Haney to win, blah blah, or at least that's how I read it. So I thought I was betting on this mug to win the round. And I was so stoked. I was like, God, these odds are fucking incredible. It was 4,000 to plus 4,000 if Haney won in the first round. So I was like this. I put $5 on the first round. I was like, man, if he don't win the first round, because I thought they were thinking Garcia's going to come out and just be punching. He's going to win the round. No way. I was like, but Haney ain't going to let him win 2 rounds in a row. So I bet $5 on each round. I thought I was going to make $200 off this shit. Watch this whole fight. Watch these. I'm like, why isn't it made? I ain't made no money. Bet open. Fight over. It says loss. I'm like, what the fuck? Haney won round 2. I was about to beat the table. I was ready to email this company. And then I reread it. And it said win in round 2. Words matter, folks. As someone who loves words and loves to read, I missed that preposition. And I should have known. Who the fuck, what kind of bookie would give 3,000 plus 3,000 just to win a round? I'm sitting there, thank God I didn't bet like $1,000 or some shit. I bet $5. But I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna make $200. So I'm icing up Tony because this mug didn't pay attention to the one.
Tony, I don't know what your other ice up was, but I'm going to call an audible on mine, and I feel like it could be both of them, or it could be both of our ice up.
Well,
because I know you're going to want to talk about it.
No, mine's a silly one. So
compliments of CK reminding me about this. So in North Carolina, this happened.
Oh, we can't talk about this. Okay, go ahead.
Or can we?
I mean, you can.
Yeah, I mean, this is the video that went viral of this guy. He's in a store. He has a camera in his has his phone in his left hand. He's
Excuse me, what are you doing?
The girl's skirt.
No, I just saw you put that underneath her dress. Absolutely, you did.
This video, what you're watching, makes it look
Then
fake,
show me your phone.
But this woman.
No, we're gonna call security.
All right, so here, let me give you a little setup to this. What happened? This happened in my town, by the way. So this woman, this guy, she felt like this guy had been following her around.
What are you doing? No, I just saw you put that underneath her dress.
So the lady who is talking right now thought he had been earlier, like creeping on her. So she started like return creeping. And she put the phone in her. She's got all these Facebook posts. She went fucking crazy viral. And she put the phone in the cup holder of the cart. Because like when you look at this dude, look at it. He looks at her. It looks like he looks at the camera.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, how?
He doesn't know she's recording because it's in her cup holder. But all right, go ahead and give your ice up pick, and I can tell you.
No, I mean that's my ice up pick. Is that dude? If you're gonna go around, trying to film up women's skirts and shit, one, don't fucking do it, and two, definitely don't get caught red-handed to the point where now everybody's watching how pervy you are all over the internet. So
also,
ice up.
Real C3 AP has a point too.
What'd he say?
He said he picked a target 3 to creep on.
What does that mean? Target 3? What's a 3, man?
Like a target store, and then when you rank women and 1 to 10.
Oh, it's like I just said like a California 7 or something. It's a target 3. You're fucked up.
I'll let you do this, but I just want to remind people. I'm not going to say it aloud, but just think of what I do for a living and the town I live in. And this happened in my town. So this story was the talk beyond Facebook in a circle of people. Agree with you but this, I mean, clearly if you're doing that, it's more about doing it than it is about the person you're probably doing it to. Right. I would guess too that this isn't the first. He's been probably walking around taking pictures of girls' butts and
for how long?
Like men in tight pants. It probably starts with like, hey, I see a girl.
I take a picture from afar, and then
it can't be the first time.
No, it's not. Yeah, I mean the dude. You don't make that decision to go straight for that,
right?
This hasn't been something
like,
that either.
You got to rob a convenience store before you rob a bank,
right?
The other thing I would say is this: I mean, have you not heard of the internet?
I know, dude. That's the weird part.
And then second, I'm not going to do it, but somebody has to do it. Can you? Maybe the real C3 AP will do it. Can you Google or Pictoa or Xhand or Pornhub it target 3 upskirt? There's already got to be a video. Like this is like, come on, honey. You went and he went to jail. Not only did he got hit with a felony, then he got hit with more charges. What a dumb.
Yeah, it's not worth it, man.
Well, Could you imagine? It's not even that's not worth it. It's just it's fucking
it's definitely
stupid.
not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it, but it's dumb. It's ridiculous. It's creep. It's all those things that are already
ruined
wrong.
Your life.
Dude worked at a church.
The thing that's hilarious to me, though, is that like literally all the naked women in the world exist on the internet.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't go
probably
on
watch an upskirt in Target. I bet you this video inspired 10 million, not 10 million, 1,000 OnlyFans girls who are going to be like, check out my Target 3 on whatever. Ice up. Yeah, it sucks. It's ridiculous. And that happened in my town. All right.
Not worth it.
Ice up. Stupid. All right. It's not only not worth it, it's bad. It's just bad. Just bad. You know what I'm saying? It's
Could you imagine being his dad?
Or him. You know what I'm saying?
No,
you did something dumb.
No, imagine
it's not idiotic, but like he's not going to be able to. It's all. Do you think he's going to have to go on the sex registry for that?
Yes. Damn. If he got charged for a felony, he's going to have to do that.
All right, this is my favorite ice up. We got to lighten things up. We went from me icing myself up. We went to all of this stuff. This just made me laugh. So this lady is coming into this boat rental place, and she's causing shit with this girl.
I need to get out of here. It doesn't work like that. It's 6 days. I want to talk to the manager. Okay, 1 second. Hi, how can I help you? What the fuck is your problem? It's my problem. It's just you. You came in here acting like you own the place.
He hit her with I need to talk with the manager, and the girl did the old steps.
I need to get out of here. It doesn't work like that. It's 6 days. I want to talk to the manager. Okay, 1 second. Hi, how can I help you? What the fuck is your problem? It's my problem. It's just you. You came in here acting like you own the place. I want to rent a yacht.
All right, so I'm icing up this crazy bitch in the red, this old lady who said, I want to speak to the manager. I'm giving mad props. I'm giving the Joe Riolano Balls Out Award. Thank you, Tim Estes, for that idea. To this girl who ducked down and went from worker at the counter to manager lady. And she said, I want to rent a yacht. Look at all these yachts. Like, shut the fuck up. You don't come into this little place with a little stool and say, I want to rent a yacht. So get the fuck out. Ice up. All right. I've shared a lot of emotions tonight. I've shared a lot of personal things. And probably the most risque thing was talking about your stupid ass ice up pick, Cody. My name's Tony Dunn. I live in Alaska. I catch panthers for a living. I don't live where I'm at. I don't work where I'm at. You don't know me. No, I'm kidding. I love all you guys. I love these two guys to my left and to my right. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. It's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We'll be here Thursday night for the NFL draft, Friday night for the NFL draft, and I'm sure you guys will shame us into being here Saturday for the NFL draft.
I'll get up before 12 on a Saturday, and I'll come hang with y'all boys and
all right
in the draft.
I love you two fellas. CK, thank you for your time. I know you got children. He's the most responsible out of the three people here. CK is. Cody's the coolest. And I'm just overly honest. Take us out of here, Cody.
C3 Nation, until next time, until this Thursday, keep pounding.
Say goodbye to your credit card rewards. Greedy corporate mega stores, led by Walmart and Target, are pushing for a law in Congress to take away your hard-earned cash back and travel points to line their pockets. The Durbin-Marshall credit card bill would enact harmful credit card routing mandates that would end credit card rewards as we know it. If you love your credit card rewards, tell your lawmakers, hands off my rewards. Tell them to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill.
Philip has just lost the respect of the youth league football team he coaches. He was asked what New England should do in the draft, and his answer was objectively terrible. The Athletic just wrote a great article about this, but Philip doesn't have the Athletic or the respect of a boisterous group of 11-year-olds who once looked up to him. Learn from Philip's error. Get the Athletic and get the info you need to speak draft fluently.